Hello, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Ross.
Hello, I am tired.
Hello,
Hey,
tired. How are you doing?
I'm all right, yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's been hanging around with the hoi polloi in the wedding world, haven't you?
It is the summer, yeah. yeah.
Bless you. Oh, very good. I did see some nice wedding photos that you took. Very,
I met-
very pretty.
The groom at the wedding I did yesterday, I just wish I was him.
All right.
He was so cool. He was like,
Was he tall?
no, he wasn't. He wasn't, but he had better hair. He learned Italian. His wife is Italian, and
Right.
he learned. He did personal vows from memory in a foreign language. I was like, oh my god! And he works in the VFX industry. He does the volume. So like what they filmed The Mandalorian in,
Right.
When they have the big
screen,
screens behind it.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he does loads of that stuff and green screen replacements. So he worked on Barbie and does all these like feature films. I'm just like, you're so cool. Maybe I don't want to be him. I'll rephrase it. I want to be his friend. Yeah, yeah.
When you
I
said
want him to get me a job.
Yeah.
when you said he
And
works
then teach me
on
Italian.
when you said he works on volume, I thought you meant like in the film industry, and he's the guy who sits there at the end and goes, "No, up a bit. Just turn it up. It's a little bit quiet. Just turn that up a bit."
Have you seen the volume?
What? Is that a film?
No.
Oh.
That screen system they use for Star Wars.
No, what is the... Sorry,
It's-
so the volume is a thing.
It's
Yes.
Like, bear in mind, I'm clearly an idiot, but
No.
also
No.
some of our audience watching
I just
may
like
not know this.
behind the
It's
scenes.
like a
yeah.
room
Right.
with a big curved screen in it,
Yeah.
right? And then what they do is they dress the floor to some degree to match the
Yeah.
environment, and then the clarity of the volume is so strong that the actors stand in front of it and it looks as though they are outside.
So this is basically like all this technology, all this modern age and this new age
Yeah.
technology, and we've gone back to the actor sitting in the car
Yeah.
as a projector
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
moving the road alongside him, right?
Yeah, similar,
okay.
yeah.
And then they have like LEDs in the ceiling,
Right.
that then match the what would be the external light
Yeah.
to the screen, if that makes sense. So that if it's
Oh,
like
I see.
a desert,
Yeah.
desert,
Kind of,
it'd
so
be
a
quite-
really expensive. I think it's Philips. Philips make the Hue TV.
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but like it is ridiculously good. Did you watch Mandalorian?
yeah.
Well, a lot of the scenes when
Oh, wait, hang on. I haven't seen what's the latest season. Is it 3 or 4?
3.
I haven't
3.
seen that.
Well, in season 1, there is a whole bit where he goes back to Tatooine, as they obviously do.
Yeah.
about
There's
every other
only
30.
2 seasons of The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bit where he stood talking to 2 Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
And there's all of the dunes going off into the background. That was just filmed indoors.
Oh, okay.
But
Right.
It's so good, and the
So it's
clarity of it.
basically like live green screen then.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
you say
Yeah.
there were two seasons. There's not. Season 3 was called The Book of Boba Fett.
No, well, it's like
Four
saying
seasons,
there's only 3 Indiana Jones films.
Yes, there
there's
is.
only 3.
Yes, there are.
It's like
Yeah.
there's only one Matrix movie.
Yes, exactly.
There's only
yeah,
5 Rocky
yeah.
films. Although it's the one towards the later end that gets cut. So Rocky 5 didn't exist.
Oh.
It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, then Balboa. Yeah.
So I mean, I
Then
know
Creed.
this is gonna get a groan from you guys with all of the films that I haven't seen. I've never watched a Rocky movie.
Do you know what? I actually think that's forgivable
Yeah.
when it comes to Rocky. Yeah.
Right, so Rocky
Yeah.
4 is responsible.
No, I've seen.
You must have seen Rocky 4.
No, I've seen the one. I've seen all the montages.
Then you've seen Rocky 4.
And you've seen all of the
Rocky
all the
4
Rocky
is
movies. You've
the
just
one,
watched
the one with Michael B. Jordan in, and then Rocky
Creed.
like trains him.
Creed.
So I've seen
Yeah.
Creed.
which
Which
is a
one?
spin-off then.
Yeah.
Because there's Creed
first
1,
one.
2, and the rubbish one.
Oh right,
Yeah.
it's
There's
3
only
Creed
two
films now.
then.
Yeah. So
I've only seen the first
I
one.
didn't care for, maybe this is just me, I didn't care for Creed 3. It was a very convoluted storyline where he fights
A mate,
a
isn't it?
childhood mate or something. Because that's how championship level boxers are found.
Yes.
2 lads from
Do
the
you know
same
them?
neighbourhood.
Do you know him?
Yeah.
Can he fight? Yeah. Okay. Get him in.
Brilliant. Yeah, get him in the ring. We'll get him.
Does he
up
have to work his
champion.
way up through some sort of league? Nah, it's all right.
Yeah,
Let's get straight in.
off screen. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, so it's a bit, but no, yeah, you've got to watch Rocky. Like Rocky 4. So in my 20s, like I would
Yeah.
go to the gym. Rocky 4 soundtrack. Rocky 4 is responsible for this physique.
Hell yeah.
Tell me about it. Like so, yeah, they're saying something.
Nice.
And then I had kids and thought, you know what, standing up's too hard. And standing up is too hard. I'm 40 now.
Yeah.
And no joke, since I've turned 40, my left knee is just weak. There's no explanation. I don't know why.
I now at my age, I play wake up roulette, which is when I wake up and I get out of bed, I wait to see what new thing hurts yesterday.
Lovely.
Let's go, left buttock today.
Yeah.
How did I strain that?
Yeah.
Do you know yesterday, me and my family went to Liverpool to my father-in-law has been a bit poorly, so we thought we'd go up and we'd help tidy up the outside of his house a bit.
Yeah.
And he's got paving slabs for his drive, so we pulled all the weeds out.
Yeah.
So I got my 10-year-old to pull all the weeds out, and I did the brushing up of the moss and all of the bits and bobs, because I thought if I go down there to do that, I'm never coming back up again. And I would just now live on the driveway if I'd done that, lying there. So I did all the brushing up, and I woke up this morning, I could tell I've been brushing.
Yeah.
All I've done is brushed.
Is it here, like just here?
I hadn't particularly brushed anything in a vigorous manner.
It was a weighted brush. You've been
It really
you
wasn't.
strapped a 20 kilo plate to the
Yeah, I
end
really
of it.
didn't.
Yeah.
Go back to like last week's show, loaded brush. It was a loaded brush.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loaded brush
Fantastic.
technique.
Maybe.
Because
So-
I've been going to the gym quite a bit recently, and like the first time I went, I was like, oh my God, I ache so much. And then you kind of like get used to it a bit, don't you?
Yeah.
But I did.
You just continue to ache. You just get used to the pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's it.
Not like the pain goes
But
away. You
I
just
did,
get used to it.
What I tell my mum, it's the Lake District Simulator, so like the Stairmaster or something like that, because it's just you walk up a mountain, because the lakes is well trodden and it's just steps. And I did that for like an hour.
It'd be a really good
and
one.
My arse still hurts.
It'd be a good one is
Yeah.
if it was the Lake District Simulator, it was that it had the steps so that you're going uphill, and as you did, the steps coming downhill, and just a sheep walk past you in the
Yes.
other direction.
Yeah. That'd be great. I'd like
Yeah, your gym just has lots of nature sounds playing in the
Yes.
background.
Yeah. I put my headphones in, and they're like, people are like, oh, is he listening to like really heavy metal? And it's just like, nah.
Every time you talk about the Lake District, I'm like, I really need to go and see my sister. I haven't been up to her house since like 2007 or 2006.
Oh, crikey. Yeah.
we see each other a lot.
Since the
but it's-
financial crash.
Yeah, pretty much. But no, since we do see each other a couple of 3 times a year. But yeah, she's over in Cumbria. And then she comes down to visit Mom, and then we'll have a day out together. But she's away at the moment in France.
Oh, lovely.
My mum's dog
In all of
sitting. In
the-
fact, my mum's on her way back today. Yeah, I need to go see my mum.
It's funny. I was just about to say, oh shoot, she might be enjoying all of the riots in Paris, but then I was like, no, I'm going to stop myself, because they probably stopped by the time we put this live. But then it's Paris, so they're always writing about something. They're always protesting,
They're always cross about something,
which is their democratic right.
which isn't completely their
Yeah.
democratic
Yeah.
right to be cross about something.
But there we go. Yeah,
This is
they
the bit
do
where
like
I
a
complete
protest.
ignorance. Like, I don't really follow politics. Like, I got to vote in the last week.
Yeah.
Which is 3 weeks ago for anyone watching. But I don't feel like I used my vote well. Like, because I don't follow it. Like, and again, I'd probably get hate for this. I don't follow it. I literally like to be in my bubble and play with 3D printers and paint Warhammers and and be happy. And I'm just kind of like, I'm doing my vote. And I rang my mate who's heavily into politics and just went, mate, who am I voting for? And then he just went this. So I was like, all right. So he got an extra vote. But I'm just kind of like...
Who would you like me to vote for on your behalf?
No, the thing is, the way I look at it, it's for me, it's just convenient. So I justify it as... I don't have the time or the mental capacity to really... If I start to delve into this, it'll be like a rabbit hole, because I don't think about things, I obsess about things. So if I start going down that path, then I'll just be like, and it will consume me. So instead, I just rang someone who I trust, has a similar outlook and goal in life to me, and just went, you've looked into this, what am I doing? But this is also the person who started stocking up on food when COVID happened. So swings and roundabouts.
Sort of person that's only just now buying their first packet of toilet paper.
Yeah. So
hi, John.
The one thing that, regardless of whatever people's political machinations are, I love watching Count Binface. He's a comedian who dresses up in like
a Darth Vader-esque.
like a really badly made... Well, it's not badly made, but the idea of it looks like a a shit Darth Vader cosplay.
Right.
But he just has like a bin on his head.
Right.
With the visor in it.
Yeah, and he's called Count Binface, and he always, because anyone can run as an MP, and he always runs in the constituency where the Prime Minister is. So he's stood next to Theresa May, he's stood next to like Liz Truss and this, that and the other. Well, I don't know if he did Liz Truss, because, yeah, anyway. And so Rishi's like, oh, yes, and the Conservatives have won back. Well, they didn't win it back because he was the MP anyway, but there's a man with a bin on his head wearing a cape stood next to the Prime Minister of, you know, one of the like
Which is
most
very
developed
British
countries in the
subversive
world.
humour, isn't
It's amazing. And nobody's like, oh my God, I can't stand next to
Like the man who
Binface.
was stood next to
Yeah.
Jacob Rees-Mogg wearing the stretch mask of a breakfast.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it's a stretch like latex mask. No, like a stretch, like a morph suit mask.
Yeah.
With little holes in it for his eyes. And the whole mask is like a photograph of baked beans.
Yeah.
But then with 2 fried eggs where his eyes would be, 2 rashers of bacon for eyebrows, and a sausage for a mouth, and I think it's a chopped grilled tomato for a nose, all printed onto the mask. And I took great delight in seeing him.
Yeah. That's the one. That's like, I think that's the great thing about being British. Like, that's something I can really get behind.
Yeah, we
Just
can
being
find
a bit silly,
being a bit silly
Yeah.
in something that's extraordinarily,
very serious,
extraordinarily serious.
Unless I'm
Yeah.
tone deaf, I'm feeling like 5 minutes ago, maybe people were watching this thinking, oh, Ross, how can you not like have any investment in politics? This is why.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
why. Because, you know,
Anyway.
it's just hilariously.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what's the topic this
But
week? We haven't-
enough about politics. I think lots of people
Let's
may,
get on to
may
the
well
important
have, yeah,
stuff.
let's get on to miniature painting. What have we been
Probably
up
out with
to?
beards.
It is. I keep that.
What have we been up to this week, chaps?
Well, we've got further down the line, haven't we? We've got a plan to start potentially doing what I'm calling "We play the shit game so you don't have to."
Well, they might not be shit.
Well, they might not be shit. They might.
You're-
They might surprise us, but
Yeah.
you never know. So I've just completed the heroes for Darktide. If you want to have a look at them, they are on my Instagram page.
Darktide, the board game.
Oh, yeah.
The board
The board
game
game
tie
out
into the video game, which is a
ties
tie into the board game.
Yeah, that's right.
This
Tabletop
is
war game,
insane. So we've got Warhammer, which has spawned a video game.
Yeah.
But the video game is so popular.
It's had its moments, isn't it?
It has. I think it's had its time in the sun,
Yeah.
and nobody's overly fussed about it anymore. Is the opinion that I
Do
get.
you know what I did
Helldivers
see
came out.
Yeah,
Yes.
but do you not think
exactly.
Helldivers is sort of... I was hearing
Yeah.
about Helldivers every 2 minutes. It was like, the developers are now doing this, and they're advising you not to attack
Yeah.
that planet when you should be attacking this one.
Yeah,
and then now
yeah,
suddenly I don't hear anything of it. It's,
Well, that's what games are like
It's very
nowadays.
flash
Like,
in the
there's,
pan.
there's no video. I was weirdly like on the way here. I was listening to a retrospective of Gears of War because the new one's coming out
Oh,
with
sensational.
all the story.
Love Gears.
Amazing series, and I absolutely love Gears of War. Like Gears of War, I've said numerous times, is what Space Marine should be.
Yeah.
Like just reskin Gears. Make the Locust Orc, make the Cog Space Marines,
Yeah.
and you've got an amazing game there.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a retrospective on the way here, and I'm like, when was the last time we had a purely story-driven, good narrative campaign game? Everything now seems to be a
Multiplayer.
multiplayer, not just multiplayer, but like an online service game or something like that,
the
where it's
campaigns are just lip service to get a game out, really, aren't
Yeah.
they? I think a lot of the time, like, you know, some of them in the past I've played the campaign, and it's been like 4 hours or
Yeah.
something. And you're like, God, that, you know. And if you're somebody that doesn't like online games, you've just got to go, that's not remotely going to be for me. And,
No,
you know, and I think
I find myself going back and playing all the older games that I played as a teenager.
Same.
I
Like
do hope-
Mass Effect and all that kind of
Oh,
thing.
Mass Effect's
I
amazing.
do hope that now they've given Space Marine 2 a multiplayer, that doesn't mean they shirk on the one-player story.
Oh,
No.
no, agreed.
Yeah, because I'd be massively
Did
disappointed.
the first one have much of a story?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Did
the
it-
first one didn't have any multiplayer, did it? It was
No,
just
I
a
think
one.
I think they did bring it in.
Oh,
yeah.
did they bring it in?
Yeah.
But I don't think it launched with it. I don't
Pass,
think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was a one-player story. So
Yeah,
to
yeah,
begin
because
with.
there was
There was a story.
spoilers
but-
for Space Marine. Spoiler
How old is
warning.
it? Is it 10 years old
Yeah,
now?
it's pretty
Yeah.
old.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like OMG, Orc invasion, surprise, it's chaos.
Yeah.
That's how far I got. But
Yeah.
I think I struggled to get there. So a lot of people say Space Marine's an amazing game. I have a counter argument, might be a hot take. I don't think it's an amazing game. I think it's an amazing Warhammer game,
Yeah.
but as a game,
Yeah.
Like, and the reason for that is again compared to Gears. Like Gears is set up in such a way that it's environment, like it's very environmental. So
Yeah.
they set you up in like a zone. So the first zone is okay. We're going to teach you how to use your squad and cover mechanic and flank your opponent. And and then it slowly ramps up to different arena disguised as a journey through
Yeah.
things. Whereas Space Marine is run and you're just swamped from every direction, and basically the whole game can be played. There's no tactics, there's no game, there's no
Okay.
skill.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe we get a bit more tactic. Is the fact that when it comes out, there is a 3-player co-op version, isn't it?
Which one? The new one?
The new one,
Yeah, that's
yeah,
what
yeah.
I'm hoping
Sorry,
for.
yeah.
Yeah. So the first one was very much. It's like, you could choose different weapons at different stages. Why? Like what? It didn't feel like any had any tactical advantage. Like bolt gun got that better. It was like the bolt gun was useful all the way through, but it was like right, okay, I've got mobs, then I want to use this. I've
Yeah.
got this, I want to use that. Whereas Space Marine was just very
Point and click.
Point and click, and I feel like using the las cannon for a bit because I haven't used the las cannon for a bit.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of, there was nothing, and that's where I'm like, I really hope for more from this one, but because I was so. It switched my brain off and just click through that. I just didn't get engaged in any story at all,
Yeah.
which was disappointing. But again, I got to the like orcs, but it got to the point for me where I was like, is this all just orcs?
There's an Inquisitor that again spoilers. There's an Inquisitor who's injured and gives you bad vibes. Surprise!
Oh,
He's
no.
been chaosed,
Ah.
and then you open a wormhole, and then chaos are there. Or you don't open a wormhole.
Yeah,
you open
I
a warp,
got to
a
that.
warp
Yeah.
gate. Yeah.
Yeah, and then that happens, and I'm like, oh, and then it's like, oh, it's chaos now for the next 4 hours.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Yeah.
Boring. So sorry, guys. Hot take. Hate on me if you want. I think it's a great Warhammer game. I'm glad there's a sequel, but I just hope it's a better game.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks like, from what I've seen of the trailers, it looks like there's more to do, which I think is a good sign.
Yeah. It looks
Yeah.
good. Like it looks
really
insanely
nice,
good.
yeah.
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 I think if there's any kind of, just going back to Gears of War, like I don't think anything has ever felt as good in a game when you nail your active reload.
Yes.
And Marcus goes, "Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it's
See,
amazing."
I'm the odd one out
Yeah.
here because I'm not a Gears player.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's,
so
it's
you have like a
brilliant.
timed, you have a timed reload, and if you get it in the exact perfect moment, you reload faster and you get a damage bonus.
Yeah.
It's known for its realism.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened to me all the time when I was in the army, getting that damage bonus. A good reload.
Yeah.
But that sort of thing, that if they did something like that in Space
Yeah.
Marine, yes, it'd be a copying, but they could do it with like, as it's happening, a dice roll or something, maybe just to give it a little bit of a thing, and then when you get that dice roll right, that gives you a little bit of a bonus. Or
That would be
something.
cool. That if you were in that, if you were up against it and you went right, the dice roll and just the corner of the screen it rolled, and it's
Yeah.
either you got it or you didn't.
Yeah.
You're like, "No,
I think
well,
it's
you know."
way too. I think it'd be way too fast paced to have anything to do with dice.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I think that the video I've looked at it, like the bit I didn't like the look of is like they're in a courtyard, there's a squad, and the Space Marine runs in. It's like, oh, cool, the Tyranids are coming out as a horde,
Yeah.
and they're coming towards you. And I thought, oh, this looks better because he's sort of like from
Yeah.
the back doing that. But the second that they get on him,
They patiently
just
wait
surround
turns.
him,
And it just becomes
and then it just becomes no,
Chainsaw,
Yeah.
and then it's like all you do. There's no without
Which-
any tactics. It's just
Yeah.
shoot, stabby, slash, and that's
Because
that
the Batman games did that really well, like the Arkham
The Arkham games were
series.
really
Yes.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you would get surrounded by people, and there's a bit of the baddies patiently waiting to
Yeah.
go, oh, I'm going to try and punch you now, to
Yeah,
give
yeah,
you
yeah.
time to counter it. And that
But I
kind
also
of thing.
think it
But-
did the thing, didn't it, in Batman, if I remember rightly, to some degree. You could sort of like give a quick soft attack to get someone
Yeah.
out your way long enough
Yeah.
to deal with someone else.
Yeah.
And know that, that guy's going to get back up and
Yeah.
come at me. But it did allow you a little bit of,
Yeah.
instead of trying to nail every single person one after another, which meant you were then going to start taking too many blows.
Yeah.
So I think, I'm quietly confident for Space Marine 2. I'm quite looking forward to it. It's going to be an expensive... It's going to be
dunno.
expensive 14 days, that, because you've got 30th of August is Star Wars Outlaw,
What's
Oh,
which is
right.
a big
yeah.
open world Star Wars game.
that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's set between Empire and the Jedi, and you play like a smuggler.
Oh, cool.
But it's really the way it all fits together. Like, there's a whole scene of watching the character, which hopefully is how it works out in the game. They've promised that it is. There's a whole bit in the trailer of watching the character have a shootout with some stormtroopers,
Yeah.
run out, get on a speeder bike, be chased.
Yeah.
And it's all still one continual bit, to the point of then arriving at a ship, running up the platform. The ship runs straight into the cockpit, sitting down, and you take off, and then it's TIE fighter attack.
Oh, wow, okay.
Without there being a
Like no
Oh,
loading
whatever,
screens.
no
Look at that,
loading
man.
screens,
Yeah.
no build. That's all like one continual thing. And if it
Yeah.
plays as good as it initially looks, then I'll be happy. But I've been burnt on game trailers many, many times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last Star
I'm looking
Wars
at you,
one.
The Division.
What was the last Star Wars one that came out? Not Unleashed, not Force Unleashed.
Oh,
There was
they're quite old now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, the last one was
With the-
Jedi Survivor.
the one with the lad out Shameless as the
Jedi Survivor.
That, brilliant.
Yeah.
That loved that.
Jedi Fallen Order, the first one was really good. And,
That's
and
what I meant, yeah.
And then Survivor, the sequel, was really good.
I wasn't
I
expecting it
haven't
because it
played
kind of went a little bit from software-y in regard to how you play through it. So you basically, like, you kind of play through and you level up, and then there's like a boss battle that you can't quite get, so you've got to go back, fight some other things, level up.
Yeah.
And it's quite open worldy, almost like a Demon Souls light.
Yeah,
Okay.
and at times I found it, which is, in my ballpark for being a PlayStation player, and at times I liked it because it was quite Uncharted.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I really liked the Uncharted
Yeah.
games, and it had
Yeah.
some of that going on, which
Still
was
never played 4. Is it a Thief's End? And then there was
Thief's
a
End,
spin-off.
yeah, a Thief's End,
Yeah.
and then there's a spin-off, and that's been it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, right. So it will be cool, I think, being like we all want. Like people say, "Oh, Custodes play how Space Marines should feel," like that
Yeah.
kind of like mega powerful and all that kind of thing. It will be really cool to do that in game and just be like, "I'm a Space Marine." So that's
Yeah.
what I'm looking forward to. Really.
Yeah, I am looking forward to it. I think we'll probably end up. I think I'll probably buy that and encourage the boys to buy the Star Wars game between them. But yeah, so yeah,
So you
Well,
can
hopefully.
play it.
So yeah, absolutely, yeah. But,
Yeah, but they can buy
I'm
it.
not buying all of them.
No,
Not need. Not needing one.
no.
So yeah, so we'll be playing Darktide, the board game, at some point in time. So
Yeah.
it's painted for
Yeah.
that. What have you been painting, Pat?
Well, I did my Death Guard.
did for the video?
My first ever Death Guard.
They look
Slimy,
great.
smelly Death Guard.
Yeah, I'm quite, for like my first attempts and stuff. I'm pretty chuffed. And they were like a reasonably quick scheme. Like I feel like I didn't put a horrendous amount of effort into them. But I really enjoyed it. It was really good fun. And yeah, using the Villi inks and streaking grime and just sort of having to play and seeing what the results were. I really enjoyed myself.
I like them. They came out good. I like them. I was like, oh.
yeah.
Well, there's a video about how you got on with them as well, isn't there?
Yes,
for those
there
that
is,
haven't
yeah.
seen it, yeah.
It's super interesting. I forgot because I was like, I wanted to get some airbrush practice in, as people will know, and you guys certainly do. I've been sort of hammering the airbrushes a bit more recently to try and I don't know, get good. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go brown and put like white over the top, and did well, as we know from our previous chats, not a zenithal. I'm
Your volume highlighting.
I'm volume highlighting. I'm not doing a zenithal. And then I got some gut ripper flesh contrast, and it's so strong.
Oh God, yeah.
Because I was like, oh, contrast, yeah, awesome. Psh, oh, all of my work's gone.
Yeah.
It's so strong. I couldn't believe it. But then I know, because you have I remember watching a video ages ago where they were like, oh no, if the contrast paints, if you don't use them for a while and they leave like a chalky residue in the bottom, that means they cover Like that means they're really strong. And yeah, I just didn't think, and I was just like, oh, I've literally wasted so much time. But in the end, I actually prefer those Marines with that paint on. I think.
What? Getting rid of,
Yeah, I think gut ripper flesh, if you're using a contrast on Death Guard, is really, really good. Because my Zenithal Marines are a bit too dark, I think.
It's funny with Death Guard, there's just so many different ways to go at them. It's, you know, because I generally, a lot of the time I do them, paint them Death Guard green and then do the Corellia green shade over the top of them.
See, I still don't subscribe to Green Death Guard. Like,
you want the white ones?
Well, that's it. I've always said
Are they
this.
called the Pallid Hand, I think they're called.
Is it? Well, that's what they're called now as a faction. So obviously 30k Death Guard were white with green shoulders. Now they're all green. But again, I've said this a few times, but I'll keep saying it. I don't believe that any time in 10,000 years, any of these factions would have sat down, had a meeting and gone, you know what, we need a rebrand, guys.
In Death Guard's defense.
Except for Dark Angels, because the green looks better.
In Death Guard's defense, it's not meant to have been a respray.
What is it, just grime or something?
Just green. They've just gone with all of the crap that's on them. It's just started to change the colour of the armour.
Decay.
But the Pallid Hand, who are one of the Death Guard companies, they make a conscious decision to stay bone coloured.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
So I don't know if that means you get the weird thing of Death Guard who are given their armour a soap.
Can you imagine that?
Getting the power sprayer.
Yeah, they'd be like, we're Death Guard, but we love being clean.
Just reaching your tentacle over, pass me the Sillet Bang.
So I don't know if that works the opposite way around.
Bang, and the Nurgle's gone.
Right, who makes t-shirts? Right, was it who had yours? I've had mine from Yavin. Who did your?
I don't know who did my Ripley.
Not that, you know, your other ones with like your Teenage Mutant Nurgle.
Oh, thing. they were sadly gone. That was Grim Dark.
Oh no.
Yeah, they've stopped making them.
Such a lovely chap whose name off the top of my head I can't remember. A lovely guy who owns it, who still has a really good Instagram page though, so still worth a follow. So Grim Dark t-shirt.
Somebody needs to do a brilliant white Plague Marine with tentacles and grossness, but beautiful armor with a thing of Sillet Bang going bang, and the Nurgle's gone. There you go. That's a t-shirt I would buy.
There.
You can have that for free.
Just send us one each.
Yes, that would be lovely. Yeah, size medium, please.
Large.
Yeah, so I did my Death Guard. I've also been painting a Deathwing army, which I'm editing at the minute. So when this comes out, I'm unsure if certainly not for patrons. It won't be out yet. But I've had a blast doing more Penitent Blades. It's like a Penitent Blade and Deathwing army, and.
Sorry, you can see me trying to talk. So as long as I've been coming here, which is about 9, 10, 11, it's a couple of months
I've been
through
painting
now.
it for so
You've
long.
been painting like I came in week 1 and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm doing this for a video. And then last week you were like, I've finished it, it's dead good.
Yeah.
And now you've added a Dreadnought.
Oh,
Dreadnoughts?
Well, because I
because we looked at getting the points right, didn't we?
Yes.
Right.
So the story was I bought the Deathwing starter set box thing.
Don't use the 8 words because that's where it all went wrong.
Well, yeah. As we know, like on the channel, like when Peachy did the Imperial Guard,
the KD,
that was like the starter set for that, and we made an army. I think I had made a video. That's our most popular video, and it was like, can you paint an army in 12 hours? And it's like, no, you can do it in 15. But there are lots of comments saying, that's not an army though. So I was like, right, okay, so try and avoid those comments. Let's see if I can bump it up to be a proper army.
It was originally just going to be Terminators, wasn't it?
Yes,
and then we looked at the points and I went, I think you might, to get that to 1,500 points, if you get 2 Dreadnoughts in there and a Chaplain, I think you ended up about 5 points short of 1,500 points.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So it's one army with 2. So it's Dark Angels successor, and as an army.
As an army,
I'm not going to reveal what's in it because obviously that's for you.
Oh no, it's fine. But I think what I talk a little bit about in the video, but also just kind of wanted to discuss mainly with you guys is like the split scheme. I think I did 11 Terminators and a Captain, because I was like, I've got one, because I just took I stripped a bunch and I had a few spares and just kind of like jumbled them together. And I was like, I'm going to build these with no instructions. So like, you know, they have like the symbols on the knees. One of them has a symbol on each knee.
Just like to show off.
Yeah, and then another one doesn't have any. So I was like, oh, bugger.
How did you get it to fit on the opposite side?
They fit together. Like, they fit together so well. I just did it without even thinking.
Oh, God.
That scheme with all the split menus, like, did them yellow with an airbrush, quartered them out blue.
Yeah.
Got some masking putty so I could airbrush the shadows and the highlights onto the blue and the yellow was covered up.
Yeah.
Some of that wasn't perfect, and then you chip it all the different colours, and it just took forever. And then I did 15, because I did 10 Terminators and then 5 Knights. At the Deathwing Knights to airbrush just the armor of all those 15. It took me an hour and a half.
Wow.
And it looks better.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, why did I do this to myself? I'm such an idiot.
Because it all span out. We did a successor video, didn't we?
Yes.
We did a Dark Angel successor video where we pulled them out of a hat, a helmet.
Yeah.
And then we went and Pat sadly drew the short story and got the penitent blade.
So you've basically got
the good side.
30 Terminators and a couple of Dreadnought. Are you doing Belial and the Chaplain as
Yes,
well?
yeah.
Oh, God. Right, okay, so this time in 2025, can you paint an army in a year?
Well, I mean, yeah, that'll be
Imagine
it.
if that was a video of just like massively unrealistic, massively overly optimistic.
Yeah. But
You say it though, like we talk about this, like there's so many videos, aren't there? Can you paint an army in this time? Can you? Right. And I don't think it's wrong that there's a vast majority of people in our hobby space being, mid-20s, probably more 30s plus, who 30s plus with like work and all this has a day spare, because
to paint everything.
Yeah, exactly. Because you'll get an hour into it, and it's like, have you put the bins out yet? And and then you're away, then you're back.
Yeah, if you've got kids, job responsibilities, etc.
I don't paint at home at all. I paint in the barbershop in between clients.
Do you really?
Yeah, and sometimes I get, sometimes in a day I sit down and I go, oh, I did well today with regard to painting. I got 27 minutes done.
Brilliant.
You know what I mean? And then other days I can have a slow day and I get a fair bit done. And then other days, the entire day is appointments. The whole day's been appointments out and not nams.
Unrelated, do you use natural hairbrushes?
Do I?
Yeah.
I make my own from what's off the floor.
See, I'm wondering whether you're sort of like some modern Warhammer Sweeney Todd, where you're turning your clients'
So yes,
hair into brushes.
Some clients, when I start with it, I go, oh, good dry brush material. Push that afterwards.
Yes, yeah.
Jesus. So
when I get a really, really young child in with that very fine hair, and I think, oh, that's got 000 written all over it.
Oh, fantastic!
Like that soft, wispy baby hair.
What is that? What's that brush? That army paints is it called the Psycho?
The Psycho.
It's got 4 hairs.
So, when I first got back into Warhammer, I thought, oh, that'll be brilliant for like eyes and detail. Do you know what it's good for? Nothing. Nothing at all.
It just doesn't work.
It doesn't. Like the second you put paint on it, the time it takes to get your hand from there to the model, it's dry.
It's already dry. Yeah.
So you need some really wet paint. I'm sure it's got its uses, but I think as many people have learned in the last few years, is like a bigger belly that
with a really good point.
with a nice fine tip. Is definitely the way to go because it all supports it. Otherwise, or the shorter ones as well. Because otherwise, the M series.
If you talk Artus Opus M,
or Winsor & Newton, they've got M series as well.
Yeah.
Which I wasted money on. So when I first got into it, I'm going to get myself some good brushes. So I went googling what are the best brushes back then before there were good websites like fohammer.com to tell you the truth.
Nice.
There were. Subtle. But yeah, before there was that, like I went and did my research, read loads of things, and it was like, right, get Winsor & Newton Series 7.
Yeah.
So I went on the website and there was Series 7 and Series 7 Miniature. And of course, I'm painting
get the
miniatures.
miniature
I want the
ones.
miniature
Yeah.
ones, but
Yeah.
no, it's not, because they're fine art brushes. The M ones are made for like miniature, and there's a guy online who uses like, I think it's an Altoids tin or something of that size, who does miniature oil paint. So he puts like his primary colours and his black and white in the bottom of the tin with
Yeah.
a little canvas in the top, and does miniature paintings. I wish I could remember his name so I could like.
I feel
say,
like
go
I've
and check
seen
him out.
like,
But yeah,
like a TikTok.
and he
or
does
something,
loads
yeah.
of lands. Oh, they look amazing, fantastic. And yeah, he does that sort of thing. And that's what they meant by miniature brushes, not miniatures. So many people made that mistake. And for Winsor and Newton, obviously, like Artist Opus, you're spending a lot of money on 2 or 3 brushes.
Yep.
To find you got the wrong ones.
Yeah.
And you don't find out until like you're painting with them and going, it's got to be easier than this. Everyone says these are great and they're crap.
Yeah.
Like, no, you just got the wrong ones.
I've been, to just tell me if I'm, going a bit too crazy, but I've been experimenting with brush size a bit more recently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How big can you go?
Well, I've been going smaller.
Oh?
Because like I've been a big advocate for, say, like a size 3.
Yeah.
I think that's a fantastic
All-rounder.
do all
Yeah.
everything. Like it's got a big enough belly, but also got a great point, and so on and so forth. But for some stuff, I've been like, if I'm content spending a decent whack of time on it, or I find I've been making mistakes a bit more and all that kind of thing. So I've been really, really enjoying like a 1 and a 0 recently.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
S series, not M.
S series, yeah. I haven't really painted with the M's very much.
I've used them a bit, so I put as an M0 in the set that I got branded, because
Yeah.
the M0 is the one I use for like dotting. So like it's the eye brush,
Yeah.
but because it's so fine and so controlled, it's like, and again, people who don't know the difference is like, with longer bristles you get more swooshy, flowy,
Yeah.
whereas with an M it's more like painting with a pencil, but
yeah.
you've got to return to the palette so much more often.
It's got no belly to speak
Yeah,
of. has it? It's
to
just
hold
a point.
moist,
It's basically just a
Yeah.
stiff point, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but still just enough to go like dot dot. Yeah, it's still wonky, but it fits.
Yeah.
It's my skill, not the brush.
So I've been, and then I've been, what else have I been doing? I'm trying out the Evolution from Harder and Steenbeck.
Oh, I've been doing that this week as well.
Which has been really cool. And then I've built, several weeks ago now, God knows how many thousands of points of orcs. Because that will be the can you paint an army in a year? I'm going to paint every orc I own.
Wow.
And
Because you've got nearly all the orcs, haven't you? The 40k orcs.
yeah,
Like almost one of each retail set that's presently available.
No,
Forge World.
there's definitely, I don't have anything Forge World. I've avoided like the biggest orc stuff. Like I don't have a Stomper. I don't have the kill wagon thing.
But you've got most of the orcs.
Yeah.
Where there's an orc. You've got Gazgul, right?
Yeah, got Gaz, yeah. So, I'm currently thinking about that as I'm like, right, I'm doing this video and I want to finish that one. I need an orc skin recipe. So if anybody has any, their
good
go-to,
ones.
let me know in the comments.
The only thing I think I will paint for orcs is I have the commandos.
Yes.
Because I bought that first kill team box. I've got the commandos.
That's so cool.
And I will probably play them as a kill team because I'm not going to be playing orcs. And then my youngest boy is thinking about how playing orcs, taking on orcs as a Christmas present. So I might let him use them. But I quite like that thing, where the orcs at their sharpest point start to go back to pink.
Yes.
Like at their elbows.
Like pinky,
and on sharp points on
camo and stuff.
and then on their faces, and they almost go back to almost like a human flesh color. I really like that. They do it like on their knuckles and things like that. I think that's a really good look.
Yes.
I think is that Marco does a bit of that. We've talked about Marco before, so we'll not recap the Marco video, but I'm sure he does that.
Yeah, he uses. I won't try and imitate his accent this time, but he uses quite a bit of magenta, I think, and then does like an oil wash and sort of blends it in.
Yeah,
and then the highlight is just like a streak of like that sort of bony, fleshy.
Yeah,
and then he
think that blends in.
Like he's got the green with the green gold.
Yeah.
But then he mixes that into that creamy, fleshy colour, doesn't he? Just a touch, to unify the piece. But speaking of orcs, so, and I know you've got them, and I don't want to extend your thing because you want to keep it 40k and official. But have you seen? Okay, have you seen? So in the 3D printing world.
Yeah,
quite a lot of people, because I think there's like, you can't
loads
really
of
copyright orcs.
Yeah, because
they're orcs.
I noticed this when we kind of did a 3D printing video, and it was like Space Marines, they have to be different enough, whereas orcs, it can be like, no, these are actually Space Lord of the Rings orcs. Like, you know, the lines seem a lot more sort of blurred.
Yeah. So, well, if you're not happy with, you know, people plagiarizing Warhammer's design scale and style when it comes to orcs, let's add some more plagiarism in there when we introduce 80s movie factions.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah, so have you seen?
I don't know if I have.
So Puppets War.
Who
have they were around for ages, and they made like alternate.
Because they do a lot of orcs.
They do, yeah. They made like alternate Space Marine and orc bits, like very, and I love them because they're very much, they're their own design, but they're very much Space Marine-y scale, just a bit smaller. There's one like dressed
up as like Batman, isn't
yes.
there?
Yeah. I don't know if there's a Batman. Yes,
there is a Batman.
There is. So there's a Batmobile. There's a DeLorean, which instead of DMC1 says Orc 1 on it, or instead of DMC says Orc. There's now the A-Team, and there's the Ghostbusters Ecto 1 with all 4 Ghostbuster orcs in it.
In the overalls and in the overalls, and one of them's got the special goggles on his head. And
that's it. Yeah, and I was
phenomenally good.
I was subscribed because I loved their Space Marine-esque, because they did some quite samurai ones.
Yes.
And I've always
we did them.
We've done a couple of videos.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah. So they're great
because they made them. To be fair to Puppet Wars, when they made them Samurai Space Marines, they made them. You correct me if I'm wrong, Pat. But they made them with the recesses already built into them for putting magnets in.
Yes, they did.
Yes, they did, yeah.
And that's what, like, and again, I don't know why other companies haven't thought, oh, that might be an idea, but still.
It's like Forge World do it a bit, don't they?
Been right all over it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I would have thought, yeah.
like the Forge World.
And then we could sell magnets.
Like Terminators have, like, say, like the Custodes dreadnoughts that I've built from Forge World, they have the recesses in for magnets.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow. Oh, well done for that. Like, why they didn't lean into that a bit more? Like with weapons, we talked about this, haven't we? Like the evolution. What's the next evolution of? Well, maybe that's a video topic. Let us know down in the comments what you think the next big evolution of Warhammer plastics should be, and then we'll make a video talking about it.
Yeah, because it's super interesting. And like from having built God knows how many points of orcs, seeing the old sprues. And you go, oh, these are really dated. Like you have the ones that don't have the numbers on, and you're just like, that bit looks the same. Snip, snip. Oh, that's the mirrored one. Bugger. And then you get the ones that have the numbers on, but then they're not on that little tab.
Or the numbers and the instructions are wrong.
Well, I mean, that's modern day, to be fair, as well. Like I'm really interested to know what will seem dated about what like modern sprues right now.
Yeah.
In 10 years' time, we'll be like, oh, that's so of its time.
I can't. Like, God, it's almost like the kid in Back to the Future 2. It's like, what? You've got to use your hands? That's a baby's toy.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I think that would be really interesting because the sprues are packed. They're a lot more sort of 3-dimensional now. Like the old ones, it's like the poses and everything were quite like we talked about it with like the 90s sort of style stuff, haven't we? So that'll be I'm really intrigued to see where it goes.
I am.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear. Like, I'm not going to say my thoughts on it now. I want to hear people's comments first. So if people add, okay, what do you think?
Yeah.
Like we've talked about it briefly, but yeah, let us know. What's he found?
Sorry,
you bear in mind anything you reference on the internet, you now need to go back over and put the photos on the screen. But go on.
Well, hopefully you can see.
Oh yes,
see the phone.
Yeah.
So this is the Batman orc, and he's called Bruce Payne.
Subtle.
Brilliant.
subtle.
No references to Batman or Bruce Wayne there at all.
No, not in the slightest.
I think that's almost like, from what I've read, and don't quote me on this, I'm not a lawyer, nor do I have one, but I think that's like one way around copyright law is if you do something as a parody, it's allowed or something. Or
I think it makes it harder to
go
after you.
Yeah, and there's the the thingy.
Yeah, that's the Ecto one.
Yeah.
What does that resale at?
I
don't think
these
it's expensive.
STLs are very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Well done, Puppet
16
Sport.
what?
Yeah.
16 euros?
16 euros, but for something like that, you're talking £4 or £5 to actually print it in resin.
Because that's really, because I know, like, we talked a little bit about, like, how STL's files, just for the files, you're like, oh, it's cheaper, but then it I guess theoretically, hopefully, would be a lot cheaper. Like, all they have to do is be cheaper than Warhammer. But then when you think, I've got to print it and own a 3D printer and the time and everything, actually, they're all quite similar. Like, is it on Only Games? Lots of the Mesgite models are actually very similar price to what it would be if you bought it from officially from Games Workshop.
Well, I looked at, because I did the Commander Thalpior, which is the one I did for my Villainy Inks video. Please go and watch that video, guys. No one did. Everyone watched past video. Mine went, ooh.
Oh, was he
They were like, stay in your lane.
The Dredge Marine captain sort of character?
Yes, that's the one. The Dredge Marine. Again, completely original design.
Oh, absolutely.
Thought of by himself. I don't know why, but it's online. It's released where like the trident is this side, and his hand's down there, and he's looking that way. I just felt compelled, for no reason at all, to flip it the other way, so his trident's this side.
Oh,
yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was a better silhouette.
We've talked about them before on the show, but I think they're nice. The Dredge Marines.
I love the Dredge Marines, and from what I understand, like these ones haven't been. I'm assuming again. So at one point, those models were taken down from the thing. So I'm assuming somebody might have got a letter that says, no, that's naughty, you can't do that. So then there were changes made, which are listed on the design, and it was re-uploaded, one of them being the direction
like it's
of the
been
model.
flipped,
So, let's not beat around the bush. It's Typhus. It's clearly very much a reimagining of Typhus, which is why I flipped it around the other way to try and go, hey, look, cool grows Typhus. No one clicked it. So it turns out, like, the world is perhaps either it is still in the Warhammer space anti-3D, which good. It means that the health of the community is very much still, as much as we all hate on it, very much pro Warhammer and wants to support Warhammer, which in the creative space, good. It's their IP. Let them do it. But at the same time, I'm still upset because I wanted to get clicks on that video. I was really proud of that model.
Yeah,
I thought it looked great.
Yeah.
Although someone commented on it, someone commented on my video and went, that thumbnail looks nothing like the model in the video. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's the same model. They're like, you've increased the contrast. I was like, I've increased the contrast on the thumbnail and in the video. I shoot in a flat profile. None of it's real. It's as close as my eyes can guesstimate what real looks like.
That's it. Because I for painting videos and stuff, I just shoot, like, we're going to talk about camera profiles. Awesome.
You shoot in.
I just shoot with no picture profile. Because I want it to be sort of as realistic as possible, I think, and I don't really play with the colours or anything, because then it eliminates the guesswork and it's faster.
But the Sony's put a bit of that in anyway. Like, this is the thing. There's so many arguments you can have over picture profiles. So I'm like, I shoot on Canon, so I shoot a flat profile and then add the LUT file back, what's called a LUT file back in to bring it back to normal. But even then, it like the Canon LUTs are really good for like skin tones and stuff like that. But then it mutes. I think it mutes the model. So then you sort of like, you add a little bit more contrast and a little bit more vibrancy, but like how much is too much? And and for anyone who wants to whinge, like I'm not the only person. Like thousands of people are bumping contrast and stuff. To make things look,
like like there's the whole you're playing the game of YouTube and making your thumbnails look a bit more sort of eye-catching,
and I hate it. I do hate it. Like it like I started this channel, I was like, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do the clickbait, and I'm not going to do that, and it didn't work. And I was putting videos out that were getting like 99% likes, and I was doing that 18 people viewed them.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
it was like I went on a YouTube course, and I forget the name. It's like the Film Baron or something like that, and went on a course, and it was like, you have to do this, you have to do that, and I went, okay, fine, I'll give it a go, and I gave it a go. I'm after the first one that actually got a thumbnail, a clickbaity thumbnail, just went boom, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's telling me what I need to do. What is the point of having a good video that you've spent hours, if not weeks on, that nobody's going to watch?
Yeah.
If it's good content, they'll watch it. If it's bad content, they won't watch it. But if you can't even reach out there anyway and get people's attention, you don't know whether you've got good or bad content in the first place. So I hate the YouTube game. I hate it. But it's a game you've got to play if you want to.
You have to play it, don't you? Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
So... But yeah, so I'm playing that this week because I'm also doing airbrush testing.
Ooh.
So I've got, I spent 3 hours on the phone. So we had an hour's meeting. If anyone ever gets a chance to speak to the guy who runs Harder and Steenbeck, wow, that man can talk. He knows so much, but he knows, like, he's been in airbrushing for 30 years almost.
Yeah.
Through his career, and he's been with, I want to say Harder since I think he said 2008. But you ask one question, it's like, so why is the nozzle on the new airbrush 0.28 millimeters, and how does that spray finer than a 0.2? That was half an hour to explain that, and I'm like, okay, well, that's good, but I've got to say that and all the other questions that I've got and all the answers to questions I've got in a 10-minute video. So okay, thanks for that. So I'm trying to now disseminate that information, but God, the guy can talk, and it was brilliant. But they've sent over the Ultra, which the Ultra, for a beginner airbrush, it has no earthly reason being that cheap. When you compare it to the Badger Patriot and the Iwata Neo, like, those two airbrushes should not exist anymore when the Ultra exists.
I love the Ultra.
It's so good.
Yeah, that's a hill I'd die on defending it, I think.
Without a doubt. Like, it teaches you how to properly airbrush.
Yeah.
And is priced as a beginner airbrush.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And then going up from there, the new Evolution, massive in every way, is such a step up from the previous one that I think it's now better than the Infinity, which is the more expensive one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm now, but ignore all that. I've got reviews coming, which has 10 minutes lead up to make those points. But again, that's part of the YouTube game, where if you don't, like, if you have an under 10-minute video, YouTube won't recommend that to anyone.
I think, 'cause, yeah, 10 minutes is generally like the peak.
Yeah.
Like what they want you to aim for, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, so apparently it used, so if it was under 8 minutes, they wouldn't, it used to be that they wouldn't publish that out to many people or something. But
I watched a really, really interesting video with the guy, like Logan Paul's video editor. So Logan Paul is like the internet douchebag.
yeah.
He did daily vlogs for ages, and it's like, I don't like the guy. I've got no interest in what he does. Well, I've never met him. How do I know I wouldn't like him? But he seems like a prick. And
he said such lovely stuff about you on his last video.
like, he filmed a dead body in Japan. That's like why, because there's a forest
where people go to commit suicide.
People go to commit suicide, and they went there and were like, oh, I wonder if, and they found what they were looking for, and it wasn't good. But speaking to his editor, he was like, oh yeah, like, we managed to, all that aside, I'm always really, really interested, fascinated with, if someone's successful, like, what are they doing to help be successful? And they said, like, with their videos, he made the vlogs like 5 minutes instead of 10. And they managed to, like, break the YouTube algorithm, because 5 minutes, it's a lot easier to focus for a 5-minute video. You can be committed. And they said they always made them like slightly too short, so you always wanted more. And it's that kind of thing. Like, I'll spend longer on TikTok than I would, like, on a time basis, platform to platform. I probably spend longer on TikTok than I do on YouTube. Even though the videos on TikTok are so much shorter, you're just like, oh, that was really fun. Next.
Yeah.
Whereas YouTube, and you might go, oh, well, I've watched what I wanted to. I logged in this morning and watched the highlights from the Formula One, like British Formula One. Awesome. Lewis Hamilton won. Woo!
Yeah, brilliant.
And then I logged out YouTube. So I was on there for 8 minutes. Whereas TikTok, I can easily doom scroll for ages. So
I think it's different things. Like if I'm trying to educate myself, because I do a lot, obviously doing film stuff, doing photography stuff, just doing general computer stuff nowadays.
Yeah.
I will search for whatever my problem is.
Yeah.
Except medical. That's a whole different.
Surprise! Brain tumor.
Yeah. WebMD. Like my finger hurts. You've got finger cancer somehow.
Yeah.
Seems to be the diagnosis every time. It turns out I've stabbed myself with a pin. You know, so
trying to unplug the pipettes. And
exactly. Yeah. But yeah, like that sort of thing. But I will not read an article. I'll go to YouTube now. And I'll go like, okay, you talk me through it. But there are so many.
Yeah, like
I had one the other day. It was a YouTube thing. It was, how do I change my thumbnail on a YouTube short? Because I've started doing YouTube shorts.
Yeah, you can only do it if you upload it from a phone.
From a phone and as you upload it.
Yes.
Whereas because I have an automated service.
From a PC,
you just can't. And then there was one article that says, this is how you do it. And it walks you through, like, you go here, you go here, you go here, and this is where the thumbnail is. But as of right now, you can't change it. And I'm like, who is... So anybody who has a go at me for my clickbait...
So they've made that article... Yeah,
it was a video. It was a 7-minute video.
Oh, bastards.
Showing you,
about something telling you sort of walk through for something you can't do.
Yeah, it's almost like you go up here, if you get down there and you turn here and you pass some field and you go over that bridge and you'll find a tree. Now you shouldn't have taken that road. That whole thing. And I was just, who is making stuff? So anybody who wants to have a go at me for the clickbait or the length of my videos, at least mine have a conclusion that is helpful at the end.
You get to a point.
Do, eventually.
Because I'm in two minds whether thumbnails for shorts actually really matter. Because say if you find one and you click on it, if you're scrolling between shorts, you never see the thumbnails anyway.
You don't, but it's getting that catch in the first place. So my best short ever's had, I don't know if it's had over 1 million views yet, but it's close. And it's a 3D, and it's talking about the title says 8K 3D printers are irrelevant. And the argument isn't, they're not irrelevant, but using that metric is irrelevant because it depends on screen size, blah, blah, blah. But my thumbnail is OP, from 3D printed OP from Sons of Anarchy by Sid Nake, sculpted it, and he's done the whole Sons of, and I love Sons of Anarchy. It's Shakespeare on bikes. It's amazing. No, it genuinely is. I believe it's based on Hamlet. Is it Hamlet? Might not be Hamlet.
Yeah,
King
maybe.
Lear or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I printed OP. And that's been more clickable than anything because all the comments I've got is that OP from Sons of Anarchy.
Oh,
and I'm like, I'm convinced that's why I've got the things. Just stay there one sec. There we go. Sorry. It was annoying me. He had one big hair.
Save it and we'll clone it.
I've got two now. I've got a brown
lovely.
one and a grey one. So I just need a blonde one.
Yeah.
Like beards, like Pokemon, got to collect them all.
Yeah. I mean, you can have brown, ginger, and grey from mine.
It's whether or not this wants to evolve into something. So I'm going to put it further away from me. It's on me. It's on me. Okay.
Yeah.
It's fine. You weren't perfect. You're perfect again.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So. What have you been up to miniature-wise anyway?
Miniature-wise, so I painted that Dredge Marine.
Yeah.
Which, from, it's kind of like a Battle Brother. You can use it in one-page rules. Great game.
Yeah.
So I've done that. I've got the Ultra, the Evolution. I then got the Squidmar Evolution. They sent that as like a bonus thing, so I'm guessing I can show the difference. But then I went and bought the Black Edition Squidmar Evolution just because it's gorgeous. And I'm like, if I'm going to have...
Squidmar airbrushes are sexy as hell.
Yeah, they are sexy. So, and then I had that meeting, and then I asked them how much for a faux hammer airbrush. Whose leg do I have to hump to get one of them? And he laughed. So it wasn't a joke. I was like, no, I want a brush that, is made for the 3D printing crowd. And he's like, well, what extras do you need? I was like, I want my logo on it. So that might be coming soon, maybe 2025/6.
And then what you need to then do is then make your own 3D STL file for a little bracket that holds your brush on, which you can glue to the side of the 3D
that'd be good.
printer.
Yes. What else have I been doing? I've written 5 scripts this weekend.
Holy crap.
No, 7. So, well, if you include Friday, 7 scripts. So those videos are coming, which are all just comparison videos of the printers I've reviewed. I'm reviewing a new printer at the moment that when's this going live?
Next week, like next Monday, which will be the 15th.
So I'm reviewing the GK3 Ultra at the moment, which is really, really good. Absolutely fantastic machine. Really, it confused me at first. I've ended up with a prototype. So I feel dead special. I've got it before anyone. It's dead good. But I got a prototype. So I've had to make some changes to it. I've had to update it. They've made some changes based on feedback I've given, which is really great.
That's awesome.
Very impressed. It is. I don't know what about it will be revealed at the point this goes live, but I know the name will. But the features of it are, I like it because anyone who's bought a GK2 won't be like, oh, I missed out. Oh, I wish I'd waited for the GK3. But the GK3 is something that nobody else has done before. And finally a company has stepped us into the next barrier of where we've been trying to get to in terms of size and quality. So it's like, oh, yes, finally we've got there. Some things I got with it at first were very weird. I was like, why are you doing this? But then as I got to use it, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes more sense. Like I was very anti a few of the features. I was like, oh God, this is just like that brand and that brand failed. But then when I actually use those features, I'm like, oh no, this is better.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I was like, it kind of swayed me a few times. I was probably a bit more grumpy with them. I was like, oh, why did you do this at first until I figured it out? So I've had that to do. Painting. I've been painting.
Have you got your World Eaters?
No, I haven't touched them. They're back in my. So I've got one of them Hobby Zone. You know the Hobby Zone modular systems.
No.
So Squidmar and a few people have got them. So it's basically like this racking based system that you use to build a hobby desk. So they're all little like, I think they're like 30 centimetre by 15 centimetre cuboid boxes. Hobbyzone.pl is the website. If you search for Hobbyzone, it's a website that sells planes and RC cars. So hobbyzone.pl.
Yeah,
so they're like modular boxes.
Yeah.
And I got a load of them years ago to set up my hobby space. And a few of them are, so you can get them twice as tall, so like 30 centimetres tall. And it's basically a Perspex window to mount your things up. So I'll put them back in there. I started painting a vampire from Loot Studios because I wanted to actually try and do a bust. And I've sketched in the highlights and I hate all the colours because I was going for pale grey.
I've never
flesh.
painted a bust. I feel like I'd look at them and I look at a bust and I'm just like, I'm intimidated.
It's been like that since I was 16.
Yes. You got better. I had one coming, but you got yours in there. Yeah.
It took me a while, but I got there.
Really? That was so obvious. The audience got that before you did.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Jeff's been worried about painting busts since he was 16. Oh.
Yeah. Hee boobies. But yeah, so I've been doing that. I've got a few printed if you want one, just to have a play that's just sat here.
Yeah.
But it's a different scale. It's very weird because there's a lot of sketching in and then blending. But I've done like shots of it. So I set up a couple of them, them coloured lights you've got here and there.
Yeah.
I've got the little square ones and I sort of did like, right, well, I want him lit from this side by like a sconce. And then I put like a blue light behind him to cast like a moonlight shadow.
What's a sconce?
Is it a sconce?
I don't know.
Is that not a thing?
Or what, when you're holding like a flaming torch?
It's like a flaming brazier. Is there not a...
Oh, no, I've never heard of it before. I was just wondering what it was.
Called a sconce.
You talk between you.
See, I always just thought I would have just said a flaming torch. But
Yeah.
I've only
Anyway, a flaming... Oh, I've searched once.
As long as you don't search nonce.
Yeah. Sconce, like a wall lamp.
Oh, cool. Yeah, sweet.
Yeah.
Well done.
Haha, I know words. Ooh, that sort of thing. Right, so yes, I've done that. So he's lit from the front and done that. And then I've realised, like, I'm not good enough to paint a bust. Why did I think adding OSL was a good idea?
Let's just make my life more difficult.
Yeah, exactly. But I've done it and I've got the lights. So I did a couple of shots and then I put them into my computer. So I did reference shots both black and white and colour, then really pushed the contrast and posterized it. So the posterizer is an effect in Photoshop where it breaks it down to like fewer colours. So I basically said, make this image with only 5 colours. So instead of having a blend, I've actually got like a flat plane of stripes between the colours.
Right, okay.
So that's helped me get the things in the right place. So as I look back like this, I'm like, okay, those lights are in the right place. But because I had a black and white image and a colour image, and the model before I added the lights was black primer, I've kind of had to guess the colours, if that makes sense. So for the flesh, with it being a vampire, I wanted it really pale flesh. So I did grey with a bit of flesh mixed in. What I should have done was flesh with a bit of grey mixed in, because now it's just, it may as well be black and white. Like it starts with a bit of purple through to a flesh tone. I wanted to go like purple for shadow through to flesh, but it just looks awful. So I now need to repaint the whole thing again. But the good thing is, because I've already bought the STL, I can just reprint it for £1. So, which is where the benefit. So you know what I mean? Like
that's interesting. You're like, should you buy BioStrip or just print it again?
Yeah.
I never even, because I've that's never even crossed my P-brain before.
Yeah, like when
it'd be like, oh, I've messed this up. Well, I need to strip it because I can't spend 37 quid on a new box of Terminators, or
you can just print
whatever.
Another one.
You just print another one.
That's where the benefit comes out. I'm doing some for a friend of mine at the moment who's got some, they're like Terminator-esque models, and that's why I was late today, because I was just like, right, I need to drop them into a thing and print them for him. But if any of them come out bad, I'll be just like, print it again.
Yeah,
done.
The only bust I've ever done is that Wolverine one that you gave me.
Oh yeah, I gave you. Yeah, that's quite good. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good. But the thing is in defence of that, I think I probably painted that faster than I painted the 32mm Space Marine, because it's just so many just big blocks of colour, and then that really nice midsection, which the idea of like the flexible area of the armour to allow him to move. It's got such lovely texture in it.
Yeah, it's almost like octagonal chevrons.
Yeah, so the dry brush just nailed.
Yeah.
You know, it was one of those things where I looked at it and went, oh, where do I start with this? And actually, once I got going, you were going, oh, actually, do you know what? This is remarkably easy to paint. And I think the bit that probably took the longest was probably that. And again, half a face, no eyes, because they're just white. You know, so it was actually...
we did the...
Cowl on,
Yeah, so for anyone who's intimidated by faces, paint Wolverines, because only half the face is visible.
And you don't have funny eyes in him.
You just do a white.
You do the mask, But you know, it turned out really, really well. And a customer of mine had seen it and was like, oh, that looks so cool. And, you know, before I'd started painting it, he was like...
and then afterwards he was like, oh...
And you went, disappointed now. I've seen it.
I've seen it. It's good. It's good.
No, he really raved on about how he would paint it, and he's this guy who doesn't paint, and he's not really particularly interested in model making, but he was like, oh, you know, he's a big Wolverine fan. So I painted it up, and I was quite happy with it, and he came in and they gave me.
Oh, brilliant. I've got another one if you want it. I've printed, I checked the other day, I've done... two more now, so 62 printer reviews in the last maybe 2 years. 62. It's insane.
Where are they all?
I'm actually paying now. So the money that I get from YouTube goes into paying my editor, and I'm paying for like when you move house, a storage unit.
Yeah.
So I'm paying for a storage unit. They're all in there. Like most of them anyway. I've given a few away for like favours for mates, like, oh, if you can do this for me, then here you go. I've lent one to James Taro.
Yes.
It's not yours. Okay, I've lent him my Bamboo A1 just because I'm not using it because I haven't got space to have them all out, and I've got an X1. And he was like, oh, I need a 3D printer just to do some things. And he texted me yesterday to go, oh God, this is so much easier. Like he's had an Ender 3 for ages. Like, I'm so sick of having to try and get that bed level, and I just text him back, what's bed leveling? Because you just don't do that anymore on these machines. I walked into the house and he sort of looked a little bit intimidated by it, like, oh, a new thing to learn. And I was like, no, you put it there, you push the filament into that hole on the little AMS unit on top, you drag your model in that you want, it slices it, you choose your quality, you click print. And he went, I've just done an egg cup today, it's taken me like 2 hours, and it's amazing.
How quick is filament printing in comparison to resin?
Depends what you're printing.
Oh, right.
So filament, the way it works is resin printing. It basically, your plate comes down.
Yeah.
It cures an entire layer.
Yeah.
Unless you're doing SLA, which is a laser. So it's pretty much the same because obviously the laser needs to move around. Yeah, laser needs to laze. Like the same as a FDM printer needs to move around. So it does one layer, one layer, one layer. So if it's something quite tall, that,
gonna take ages,
and it's a lot, then it'll take a while. But it relatively the same size thing on an FDM printer, like it takes 2 or 3 seconds per layer on a resin printer, and then lift and retract. So about 8 to 10 seconds per layer. But if you've got something on an FDM printer and it's really intricate,
then
it's
that'll take
however
ages.
long it takes for the head to get round that path per layer, which sometimes can be 3 or 4 minutes per layer.
Oh, right.
So, yeah.
So it's slower and not
Less
as detailed.
detail, but the things you can make on it are, your resin printers for more practical prints, like those helmets. Like, I wouldn't print that in resin.
Yeah.
So Mikey did. So I've mentioned this a few times. We sent him some Wargamer resin. I said, we've made this resin. It's the best for miniatures because it looks like plastic resin.
Behaves.
It behaves like plastic.
Yeah.
Like the thing that people don't realise is it scrapes down with a knife like mould lines. So if you want to get rid of your marks, as you've seen, it behaves like plastic. Like everyone says, resin, mini resin is ABS. Like it's not. This is more HIPS like high impact polystyrene. And that's what it is. So we sent it Mikey, who had the Apex Maker X1, which is a giant printer, amazing printer, terrible company. They're awful. Like their communication is awful. I have been talking to them on WhatsApp for since Christmas because they've had a new printer coming out. I don't know if they're sending one or not. They've released another new printer since then. And randomly, I'll chase them and go, hey, how are you? 3 or 4 days later, I'll wake up to having a message in the morning that just said, hi, Ross. And at 3 o'clock and then nothing. Some mornings I'll wake up and I'll be sat there on my phone and they'll respond with, hi, Ross, right as I'm there. Oh, hey, how are you doing? Nothing. And that's me who has them on WhatsApp. So for any customer who's actually having problems with these things, it's a nightmare. But anyway, we sent Mikey some Wargamer resin. Brilliant for miniatures. He printed in helmet.
Fair dues.
Yeah. An absolute helmet. And I may be describing him. I may be describing the print. Who knows? He knows.
Don't throw shade at people.
He knows I love him.
Yeah. All fun and games. So I mean, I
What have you been doing? We've done you.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I did some Darktide heroes.
Yeah.
I've got half a dozen villains to do for that because thankfully, peek behind the curtain, I already own some of the villains. I've already got painted Traitor Guard for my Death Guard army's cultists, but sadly, the weapon options and specialist options in Darktide are guys I didn't make.
Right.
So I've got half of them to do.
But who made them then?
No, they're optional. They can take options in the squad.
No, you've lost me.
Okay, when you buy Traitor Guard, because they're for kill team.
Yeah.
You can have a medic, or you can have a this, or you can have a that. But then you can just have them as a normal rifleman or as a gunner, or so. The choices I'd made for my squad for Death Guard were a bit more vanilla because there's no point having a radio operator in your cultists because there's no rules for it.
Right, okay.
But then
But they've got a model for
because they're also used for kill team.
So kill team has a role,
radio operator,
role, right?
Yeah, and I didn't use them roles because I need to make them generally vanilla.
Yeah.
And now when we opened Darktide, and I thought, well, I've already got 10 painted Traitor Guard.
Yeah.
And I went, but I haven't got one on the radio, and I haven't got one carrying a grenade launcher, and I haven't got one with these because they don't have rules.
Oh, okay.
I see. in the.
Are they the same models though?
But they're the same miniatures, yeah.
Right. So obviously they made them with the plan that this is coming to kill team, and
yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
that
all
makes
they've just done is you've took the kill team Traitor Guards, or the blood.
Is that the only Traitor Guard we've got? So you get it's not a Traitor Ogren in there, is there? Or is there?
No, the Traitor Ogren and the Traitor Commissar are in the kill team box.
Right.
But they're in there because they are on a sprue together and they started life in Blackstone Fortress. In one of
Oh,
the
okay.
expansions.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
Well, Traitor Guard actually starts in Blackstone Fortress, but they were generic.
yeah.
They were just to be the bad guys in Blackstone Fortress, and then they remade them and gave them options.
I think Pete, the Wargamer, did a kit bash, didn't he, of a Traitor Ogrin,
Yeah.
which looked really good. Because obviously from the Darktide video game, there are Traitor Ogrins.
And there's good guy Ogrins.
And there's
as well.
good guy, yeah, because I think you can play as one, can't you?
Yeah, well, yeah.
That was he was like the Ogren's the most fun to play as in the video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I might
so-
give that a go
Alright,
again, you know. I was enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I've got half of them to do, and then thankfully they have 6 Poxwalkers as well. And as you can imagine, being a Death Guard player, I've already got loads of Poxwalkers
Yeah.
painted, so that wasn't a problem.
I hate Poxwalkers.
What have I done else this week? I've been putting more crew together because I'm going to use.
How is the army shaping up?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Not bad. There's a lot of it. But this week I've been really focusing on getting the Farstalkers, which are a unit in the game, but they were designed for Kill Team. They were the ones that the first bad guys in Into the Dark.
Yeah.
Them versus the Navy Breaches.
Yeah.
So I'm painting them up. I'm building and painting them because I'm going to start learning, make a real consistent effort to learn Kill Team. So yeah, I'm going to do them.
I wonder what this might be a question for our listeners. What's the most simple kill team to play?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
And then I'll paint them.
that's a good idea. Yeah.
Because I did that with Necromunda because I was like, oh, corpse grinders, right? Barely any of them have guns.
Yeah.
I just need to focus on moving and stabbing.
Yeah.
And then it turns out that they were like the most broken faction and won everything. Even though I was
really?
I was playing them incorrectly, and I like won all my games.
Yeah.
They had more rules that made them better. Like they have these masks on, like the leader,
And they create fear,
it's
don't
like
they?
if someone looks at you, they have to take a roll to be like, no, I'm terrified. And we didn't use that mechanic because I forgot that it existed.
See, I wanted to try, when I got the box, just because I like them, and it reminded me 90s nostalgia, the RBTs squad that came out. Amazing. I love
got
those
them.
models. They are so good.
I got them. In fact, they were so good, and the options for them were so good. I bought the box twice.
Yeah,
so I could
yeah.
do everything.
I
And
was-
to be
yeah.
fair, you could possibly maybe at a push maybe need to buy that box 3 times to do all the options.
just to have, and I looked at it, and the options were so cool, but the bit that got me, because I don't play the game, is you go through the build box and it's like, you can build it this way or that way, and I'm like, well, which way's right? Like, if
Yeah.
I want to actually play this game, which way's right? And I didn't want to have to sit, and again, this is my ADHD brain talking, which means I cannot focus for more than 2 minutes, whilst I whinge about a generation of people who can't focus on a video longer than a TikTok. But please watch my Villainy Inks video. But yeah, like, I don't want to read through a 30 or 50 page booklet to try and work it out. And am I wrong? It probably doesn't explain it in there. I'd need the actual rule book to explain.
I feel
Yeah,
like
you would.
Like,
Yeah.
how would I
there
know?
needs to be an Allspecs tactics video on that.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
like, this is
See,
the best version.
I built them. So the reason I built them twice, and the idea was that so I could play them either in Necromunda as stand-in for Palatine and Forces,
Yeah.
or I could play them as, if I built them twice, it gave me pretty much, not all, but most of the options to play them in Kill Team. But then also, there is 2 variant squads of them. If you want to take them as agents of the Imperium and play them in 40k, you can actually have Arbites running alongside Space Marines.
Oh, blooming heck. Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
So the idea being is that, you know, the Marines have turned up on a planet, and there's some plucky Arbites trying to get on with it as well, and then they go, right, we'll help. So you can field them in like a team with all with shields, or you can field them in a team that's a little bit got more like snipers and machine guns and things in it.
I've built mine as to be like, I wanted the most varied squad I could get. So I've got like a couple of shotgun ones, I've got a couple of thingy ones, I've got obviously the leader guy. But I'm worried now that because I chose to build them that way, I cannot play the Kill Team game.
Generally, as a rule of thumb, when it comes to Kill Team, I always think I know it's a really boring rule of thumb, but if you're not really sure and you're not really pushing it to the meta player, I always just say just build them the same as what they look like on the box. On the back of the box.
Yeah.
You've got a commander with this, you've got a medic, if you've got a sniper, just build them the way the box sort of suggests it. And then, but the Arbites, depending on how you want to play them, or if you want to get the maximum amount of usage of them, and I know it's not a cheap way of doing it, but if you buy them like 3 times, you've got Necromunda, Kill Team, and you've got 40k covered.
How do you pronounce it? Because
we never know.
I said RBTs. You've said RBTs, RBITs, and RBites.
Well, I just think if I say all variants of them,
Covering the bases,
I'm going to nail it once.
Upset everyone who
says-
I'm going to get it one. I'm going to get it right at least once.
He says 1 for each box that he's bought.
Right,
Yeah,
there
that's
we
right.
go.
Yeah, that's right. I do it. Yeah.
Yeah, have you seen the new RBites box? What's that? It's like the RBTs box.
Yeah.
So
But they are. I love them. They're nice models.
Yeah, one thing that I kind of find myself a little bit frustrated by sometimes is when boxes have so many options.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I build and there's like you're like, right, oh, this box has 3 orcs in. Oh god, there's all. I feel like I've only used half the plastic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, and like I can.
And you can never fix
You can
that.
never build it again.
You can never fix it.
There was an orc model, Mozgrog Scragbad, I think he's called, or something, some variation of those syllables. And he's kind of like on like a shark looking squig.
Oh, that's
Right,
a cool
yeah.
And
love
then
that.
so there's like that version, but then there's another version which is like nameless kind of boss dude.
Yeah.
And there's so much in there, like this the squig sort of head is a bit different, and this thing, like you're like, oh, I could almost build this twice, but there's just
Not enough.
the tail and the leg missing, or sort of
Yeah.
like, oh, they
Yeah.
and I totally get why they do it.
Yeah.
But then I can totally understand if I think I forget what it's called. The World Eaters, like we call it Robo Pig.
What?
Oh, the Juggernauts.
The Juggernaut.
Oh, yeah.
I know because someone told me in the Discord that there was the 3D printed kit that's like, right, if you build that version, you can 3D print the spare bits.
Oh, yeah.
And build both of them without having to buy it twice.
There's been a lot of that happening
Yeah.
lately, but again, that's still.
That's like the
Yeah,
next step.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Oh,
the next
absolutely,
step. It's
yeah.
the next step up from magnets, isn't it? That basically,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
you are right though, because
Yeah, obviously copyright infringement and so on and so forth. But
you are right though. That is you know, when it came to that Traitor Guard, I was sitting there, and even down to the fact that it was or the Blooders, it's called. It's such a nice kit that I was putting heads on miniatures and lamenting the other head that I couldn't put on.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
'cause it
Oh,
was
yeah.
So you're going, this is the nicer of the two, but that one's really nice as well. And the problem being is with some of the blood that they've been made to really lean into their poses. So some of them, the twist is all in the neck. So that when you get into the socket, it's not like putting heads on. You know, you can stick almost any marine head on any marine to some degree.
Yeah.
But some of these are twisted to fit the socket.
Yeah,
So you're like,
yeah.
that one's amazing, and the other option is that one, and that one's amazing as well. And you go, what do you do? You know,
That's- yeah.
And it does. You know, Games Workshop with the Blooded, and sure, there's many other kits, but in my opinion, and the Arbites is they've sort of done the kit so well. It's almost like, oh yes, and I need to buy that 3 times.
And from building a metric ton of orcs, my sort of experience with that is I built the newer kits first. So like the new versions of the boys are all push fit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like and
You mean the Ard Boys?
no, just
normal
generic
boys.
Yeah, they're all the
What
new
are they?
ones.
They're
push
from. Is that another one that came out in Kill Team and then
No.
became its own?
No, they came.
And they're from that box there.
No,
They're not from that box?
no, they're not.
I had that box and they're not.
It's
I don't-
awesome. No, they're the with the white armored shoulder pad on. The name escapes me.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to Google it because it's really
Are they the
annoying me.
Beast something?
Yeah, Beast Snaggers.
Beast
Yeah,
Snagger.
Beast Snagger boys.
Beast
yeah.
Snagger Boys.
Yeah.
Oh, so they
they're-
are from that box.
No, so the Beast Snagger boys are multi-part, normal, glue, etc., Boys, like your generic, like you more sort of goth, like orc boys. They're all the newer ones are all push fit.
Oh,
Because they came out in the not the Start Collecting, the
Combat Patrol.
Combat Patrol. Yeah.
See, I just don't get the hierarchy of orcs. So you've got Beast Snagger Boys.
Yeah.
The Boys.
Yeah.
Is Lost Boys one of them as well? Is that a?
No,
No,
it's
that's
not like
an
a
80s
TV
horror
show or
movie.
something.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Horror.
Yeah. So boys are push fit, Beast Snaggers are multi-part, and you're very limited with like all the musculature and everything, and you put the head on in a certain way, and it's like that all works. And in my head, I was like, oh, these are so much better than the old ones, and this, that, and the other. And I built some old boys, like where they have the tiny legs and the sticky out butts, and then it's like,
oh,
like,
the one they all stand like,
they look a bit silly and goofy. But I had the most fun building the Storm Boys, like the guys with the jetpacks. And they
now I'm lost. So again,
so
boys,
much fun.
Beast Snagger boys, old boys. What was the one you just said?
Aren't Beast Snaggers a tribe of their own?
Yeah, they were going to make them for I believe the rumor is they were going to say, oh, you can only play them if you play this culture of orcs, this clan or whatever.
And then
but then they backed out of it and said, you can use them for anything.
What was the one you just said? The Jumpy Packy boys?
Storm Boys.
Storm Boys.
And they're...
Beastie Boys?
Yes, they're there as well.
They ride squigs.
Yeah. Right. They're fighting for their right to, to party.
And they're all intergalactic.
Yes.
I love it.
Those are the only tunes that I know.
Oh no, I'm a Beastie Boys fan. I could bore the pants off.
I do need to see like someone. We had the Goth Rocker, didn't we?
Yes.
And obviously, like orc trucks.
Yeah.
Are all like very cobbled together.
Yes.
Why have we not seen? Maybe we haven't.
I have, and I know what you're about to say.
The doof wagon
from Mad Max Fury Road.
Have we had that?
I think someone's done a doof wagon.
Oh, I don't know.
Orc doof wagon.
How do you spell doof?
DOOF. If
I love the fact in the backstory. I was reading about the fact he's wearing his mother's face.
Is he? I didn't know there was a backstory to that. I do remember.
And that whole guitar they really made.
Yeah, no, and it's got the flame and everything. Yeah, I love it. Like, I don't know, like Furiosa's, apparently it's good according to reviews, but no one went to watch it. No one goes to the cinema anymore. No. That's a scary thing. People just aren't interested in cinema anymore. It does me.
I think the problem there was no Mad Max.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, quite possibly, yeah.
I think people, for me, it was just like, I don't want to... Two things put me off Furiosa, and neither of them were the actors, because Anya Taylor-Joy is always a pleasure to watch in anything she's been in. Chris Hemsworth, brilliant, again.
And apparently great in it.
Yeah. But... Two things. One was, again, it was like, oh, it's a spin-off. I just don't need a spin-off. Yeah. And two was... You could see in the trailer the special effects, and I'm like, the reason everyone loved Fury Road so much
in camera
was because it was so practical and real world.
I think the problem being isn't it? I think it was too many steps in a different direction. Was people were going. A lot of people went to see Fury Road and went, I loved it, and I loved it across the board as to what it was. But people went, well, it was Mad Max sharing the film with another main character being Furiosa. And then you go, okay, so you've got like a 50-50 film. It's like it's a two character piece, really. And then you're going, okay, and now we're going to make a prequel with one of those two characters.
Yeah. And then different.
It's not even the same actress.
Yeah.
Like I just felt it was getting too...
Yeah.
Which not for me, because I don't care. But I think for people who are like, I like Mad Max, and it's going, you're just so many steps away from what you had, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there is a brief snippet of Mad Max in it, and it's not even not even Tom Hardy.
Oh, right. It's another Mad Max.
No, it's meant to be him, but they just haven't got him.
Oh, right.
So it's a brief thing again.
But again, it's like when has a sequel? Like, when have sequel movies ever been big? Sorry, when have prequel movies ever worked well and been big?
What do you mean, other than The Phantom Menace?
Yes. No, I don't mean other than The Phantom Menace.
They generally don't work, because I tell you what, no one else went to see that spin-off of The Hunger Games, did they?
No, they
didn't.
Which is the prequel. I think that was part of, because the actress in it or something was getting a lot of hate on social media or something.
Yeah, but also as well, a lot of people will have looked at the trailer and gone, well, where's Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah.
And just not gone. I think people do...
I just didn't care. Like I really like the Hunger Games. I've read the books. The books are great.
Yeah.
Stephanie Meyer, I think, who wrote them, needs to find another phrase to use other than "it was all they could do but to," because that was repeated almost every other paragraph. But again, still fairly compelling. A good action writer.
Do you know, on the drive here this morning, I heard a really good mess up in a book. Was I'm listening to, I read it years ago, I'm listening to Gaunt's Ghost Honor Guard, and in it the character called Major Rawn is thinking about all of the new members of their unit that have joined them who've joined them voluntarily since the last book, and he talks about a female character in it and about how she's got blue spiky hair, and then within about 10, 15, maybe 15 to 20 minutes worth of audio, he then thinks she's died, and then goes, no, he spotted her in the distance with her bleached blonde hair.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
I was like, I loved the author, but I thought, really? You've only about 20 minutes worth of...
It's got to be hard, but it
Do you think maybe he wrote a bit and then went on holiday and then came back?
No, I've got a friend who's a writer, and he'll write an outline, and then he'll go through and rewrite chapter by chapter, and then he'll go through, like, the process is not linear when you write a book for a lot of writers.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
I want Dan Abnett to write Body Glove, the prequel trilogy.
What is
of just who designed the body glove?
Yeah.
And then
I feel like this will have like elements of 50 Shades. 50 Shades of Body Glove.
Yes.
50 Shades of Sprue, all about the body glove. Go on, Dan, crack on.
Divine. Yeah. That trilogy, I'll fund it.
Yeah.
No, I won't.
So no one's going to the cinema anymore.
Yeah, I'm going to try and get there this week because there's a horror getting really, really great reviews with Nick Cage in, which I know sometimes can be the kiss of death for a film. But it's getting really, really great reviews.
Sorry, did you just say Nick Cage can be the death of films?
It can be the kiss of death for films, yeah, I think so. Well, it's not him. Right, now, let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
A Nick Cage film
quick.
can just be poor. And it's not necessarily him, but he'll, I get the impression he has a lot of bills to pay, and he'll
Apparently he's debt free now.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know
He's been in some trash, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Which, and I think it's terribly sad when people didn't know was Bruce Willis was in a lot of trash and then realised now that he knew he was poor, he was getting increasingly more and more poorly, and he was putting money in the bank for his family, especially because he's got a relatively young child.
Yeah.
But anyway, that by the by, the new Nick Cage movie is horror called Long Legs, and it's getting phenomenally good reviews. And it's apparently the word that jump scare doesn't bother me in a movie.
No.
In a horror movie, Quiet Bang doesn't do much for me. I always see it coming. I know it's coming. I can just feel it. But disturbing.
That's what I want. I want something like the scariest thing I've ever seen in cinema is in Signs, where you glimpse the alien walk past
by
on the camera. Don't tell me you've not seen Signs. For God's sake. So we'll just move
on. When there's an alien invasion, he lives on the farm.
And
there's a brief bit where someone's filmed in Brazil. It's like really shaky, grainy video cam, and they're looking and you just see them looking like down a path towards a house with hedges on either side, and the alien just walks by and just turns on.
If you actually watch the film and get invested in the story,
coming from a guy that just said he wanted to read Body Glove, the prequel trilogy, do you think I've seen any of these movies?
Fair point.
I love filth.
You need to stop. Right, you need to stop reading books and start watching. But I think the next one I'm looking forward to is Deadpool and Wolverine. Because I think I'm just going to switch my brain off and do it.
That's the first film
take some money.
In a long time that I actively want to go to the cinema for.
Yeah.
I feel like, the Star Wars films, I saw all of them in the cinema and was just like,
sorry, mate.
I feel, I had a great summer. Christ, it might have been 10 years ago now. 2014, I think the first Guardians came out.
Oh, that was a great
it was 2014.
And the Tom, All You Need Is Kill, like the Tom Cruise.
Edge of Tomorrow.
I had a wicked summer.
That was a good,
just going to see,
summer for
going
film,
to the movies, and I was like, that was great.
You just don't get them anymore. They're just not. I haven't seen anything good. Like, okay, imagine this.
I don't know.
They
seen Dune this year. Dune 2 this year.
I loved it. The battle was underwhelming. The battle, it was literally like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who's not seen it yet because it's not out available to watch. But I was so excited after all the build up, and the battle was. Yeah, I was really disappointed. But imagine if they made another Mad Max film, in the style of Old Man Logan, bring Mel Gibson back.
Oh, that's
would you
interesting.
watch that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, the biggest TV show in the minute is like a Kevin Costner, like TV show in the US.
What,
that's,
Yellowstone?
like massive. Yeah.
Yellowstone.
Yeah.
That's been out years, hasn't it?
Yeah. It's been
Yeah,
going
quite a few
while.
seasons. Yeah, that kind of like that old man TV
you
where
know the
it's
one-
like, we're in Montana and I make the rules.
Do you know
like,
what I'm enjoying, considering to make what looks like is roughly 8 hours out of something that was a movie and previous to that was a book, and I'm about 5 episodes in, is Presumed Innocent.
What's that?
It was a Harrison Ford movie about a guy who's like a high level like lawyer
Right.
for district attorney. He's a district
Yeah.
attorney, and he gets put on the case of one of his colleagues has been murdered.
Okay, sounds quite 80s
Yeah,
movie
yeah. One of his
plot.
colleagues, a female colleague of his, has been murdered, and then very quickly you realise that he was having an affair with her.
Oh,
And all of his
ooh.
DNA and everything
Spoilers.
is all. Yeah, well, no, it's not a spoiler because it's the hook of the show.
Yeah.
And all of his DNA and when he was last at the house. And
So this is a show based on that movie?
Yeah,
Right.
which was based on a book. And so
Okay.
they've took like a 2-hour movie and they've really been able to go more into his family life and all the rest of it. So instead of just being things that in the film would have been very quick.
Yeah.
They-
It's good
they-
when that works. Sometimes
and
it
but
doesn't.
it's not something you see very
Did you,
often.
see, did you watch the Mr. and Mrs. Smith season?
yeah,
on
I really
Amazon?
liked it.
That went. Like
Did you
the
think
last couple just fell off the
Yeah,
cliff.
I think you might be right, but I generally really liked it. But
I liked it overall.
I'm a Donald Glover fan, so
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll watch
I am,
anything
yeah.
that he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I generally really liked Mr. and Mrs. Smith. And the other one that was a movie turned into a longer TV show is Hannah.
Anna.
Oh yes,
Anna.
yeah.
Is it Hannah or Anna? Because
Hannah.
it was Saoirse Ronan in the movie.
Hannah, yeah.
Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse. I said it as you read it, as I read it.
Yeah.
Saoirse Ronan was in the movie, and then the girl who was in the TV show played alongside not Eric Bana. Eric Bana was the movie, and the lad. It was the guy who played RoboCop, and he's in For All Mankind.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
And
I know
he's
what
in
you mean.
that one where he goes at Altered Car. Is it Altered Carbon
Yes.
as
Yeah,
well?
yeah.
Him.
He's good.
Joel Kinnaman.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him.
Yeah.
Like RoboCop that he was in. If that hadn't have been called RoboCop, that would have been a brilliant film.
Have you seen? Is it The Killing, the TV show where he's like a cop?
I only watched
no.
I watched that at the Scandinavian version of that. I haven't seen the American version.
the American version's really good. The female lead in that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to watch that. I'm seeing some good stuff, and I'm
I
so.
love For All Mankind.
It's so good.
such
I haven't
television.
seen the new season
Haven't
after
you?
the end of the last one. I'm waiting for. Is it finished yet?
Yeah, season 4.
Yeah, because
long
I'm
finished,
really
yeah.
cheap. Okay, because obviously they release it weekly.
Yeah.
But the way I'm cheap is so I don't pay for the Apple TV monthly.
Yeah.
I wait until the season's done. I'll
then
pay for
take-
a month, and then I'll. 'cause
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
I
binge
watch.
it. Yeah, so no problem with
that and Severance.
Oh,
which
but
I got
do you know what?
into,
Apple
yeah.
has so much good stuff
Is
on it.
season 2
do.
started yet?
Don't know.
No, not yet. Severance is brilliant. Silo is phenomenally good.
I haven't seen
Read,
Silo.
it's based on the Bulwark. The Bulwark. It's based on the Wall book by Hugh Howey.
Yeah.
which is fantastic, and I
Yeah.
can't believe how little has been done. There's so much story to
So
go.
I need
Yeah.
to. I've been writing down TV seasons.
Yeah, so
Silo.
Silo is really
Brilliant.
good, and season 2 of Silo is this year.
Which is the TV show that you talk about? Yay, Miniature Painting Podcast. What's the TV show that you talk about where like Russia won the space race or something like that?
For All Mankind.
Yeah.
For All Mankind, yeah.
That's
And then-
so good.
and then Slow
and you've got
and then Apple, Slow
he's not-
Horses.
he's not started it.
The Foundation's great. That's all
Yeah,
right.
I haven't
Yes.
seen. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm starting to wonder in this day and age. I'm like, am I just an old man? Like, has cinema changed? And I had my heyday of my 30s, which was all the stuff I had as a kid. Marvel.
Yeah.
Like Marvel was
Yeah,
like my
yeah,
era,
yeah.
and that bubble's now well burst.
Yes, massively. Yeah, I haven't really been to the cinema as frequently.
No, we've been
since
terrible.
since like the Avengers ended.
Yeah, I've never got really back into the
I
cinema
feel like-
since COVID.
yeah,
really.
I feel
as
like-
much as I would have done.
Yeah, like Marvel's not as it's terrible. I don't want to be like a
TV
moany
shows
old
are-
git, but I'm like,
Let's not talk about Warhammer anymore. Then
I don't. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I don't connect with Star Wars as much as I used to. I don't connect with Marvel as much as I used to, and like a few various bits and bobs. But I did enjoy the episode of The Acolyte where the guy with the red stabby thing did a lot of red stabbying.
He did a lot of red
Yeah.
stabbying, didn't he?
Yeah.
He really did. He stabbied his way he was stabbying for about a good 30 minutes, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Haven't watched The Acolyte. Waiting, is it finished?
No.
Right, but I have had it fucking spoiled to shit with TikTok and stuff like that. I abhor spoilers, but
Yeah.
we've given up on that. And this is the thing: like, has my generation just moved on, and cinema's now different, and the movies and TV shows being made just aren't for me and my generation? But then actually, everyone's hating it, and no one's going to the cinema. So it's not just me.
No.
Cinema has got worse.
I
And
don't think cinema's
know
got
why.
worse. I think cinema is still reeling from COVID, because obviously you don't make movies in 6 weeks, do you?
Fair
Movies are
point,
made
yeah.
for a while. They take
Yeah.
a long time to
Months
get
and
going.
months, yeah.
And I think, and I think there is still, I think cost of living. I think cost of living's had a big bearing on it. And then I think,
Cost of living though doesn't, like, there aren't films we want to go and see. Never like, I can't think of a film that I've wanted to go and watch.
I view this going to the cinema now as like a risk-taking exercise.
Yeah.
Like I try not to think about how much it costs. I'm like, right, how many hours of my life am I like, right, oh, that ticket's like £15, like I had to work 2 hours for that or whatever, you know, because I'm self-employed, so I don't really I work.
See, I have the cinema. I have the equivalent of a
Yes.
season ticket,
Yeah.
which I pay for month in, month out, and don't go. It's like having a gym membership.
Yeah.
But the only thing, and I know this sounds like you're going, oh, St. Jeff, the guardian angel of cinema, is that I think I might not be going, but at least in my mind, I'm doing my bit to keep that cinema there.
Yeah, I
even if
suppose,
I'm
yeah.
not there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that's not, a perfect response. I should be going more, but
Yeah.
I think it could be, like you say, like, it does take a couple of 3 years to make a film, and this is only a couple of years after COVID. We're hopefully
still getting it round.
Bit of the
probably in that
backlog
period.
You know what I
and
mean?
like, so yeah, with Dune 2, I didn't go and see it in the cinema because I'm like, right, it's that expensive. Will it be worth it? And it just didn't tip over the edge.
Yeah.
Deadpool, I've enjoyed the first two Deadpool films. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, I will always
Brilliant.
watch.
Yeah.
So that for me, I'm just like, I'm there. I know that it's not going to be the most exceptional film in the world ever, but it'll make me laugh. There'll be some gruesome bits. Like, it will tick all the boxes. I feel like it will meet my expectations.
I think I need to go to the cinema to see that, and one of the reasons I do is because if I get the impression that there's so many cameos in it.
Yeah, it'll be ruined.
I don't want someone cutting my hair. Don't be cutting someone's hair and then them telling me. It's like we've all seen The Force Awakens, haven't we?
Spoilers for Force Awakens.
Spoilers for Force Awakens, for that movie that's getting up for like 10 years old.
That's the first one of the new trilogy, isn't it? Yeah.
My barber and friend Rick, he was cutting someone's hair the day after it came out, and that guy went, I didn't see Han Solo getting killed by his son.
Oh,
The
that's
day
like somebody
after.
walking out, like the Simpsons joke, isn't it? Like someone walks out, like, God, I can't believe Darth
Homer
Vader's
says
Luke's
it.
father as he's walking. Yeah, that's
I put a sign in my barbershop. I'm not joking. It came out in the December, The Force Awakens, and I put a sign in the window of the barbershop which was said, please don't talk about any plot points to do with The Force Awakens until the 30th of January.
Yeah.
That was pre-COVID.
That's a lot of information on a sign. You might want to work on like no spoilers would have been better marketing.
No Star Wars spoilers. Yeah.
So because back then that was before appointments, so I sometimes had 4 or 5 people in the gym.
Just talking,
talking away,
and it was like, I did my absolute best for everybody, and I thought, but the one that made me laugh the other day.
Is that why you've gone appointments only, to minimise
spoilers? Yeah. The other day there was an article about the movie, the Ryan Gosling movie, The Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Which I didn't get to the cinema to see, but I really do.
I wish I'd gone to the. I'd have enjoyed that. It would have been a nice date night movie.
It did appallingly bad.
Did it? It was enjoyable.
Do you know what? Do you know one of the things I realised? One of the things that possibly led to that doing badly was I had a guy in the other day and we were talking about it. And I said it's quite funny when they remake TV shows from my childhood, and he went, "What, The Fall Guys are making? Was that a TV show?" And I was like, "God, people didn't know."
I didn't know. I read or watched something, and it was like, oh yeah, and they repurposed this IP because everything that anybody cares about in the entertainment industry, like, you know, Games Workshop, bring it back to miniatures, lol, is they have their IP and they protect it like pretty fiercely, because that allows them to create everything that they do, and is that's their like personality, so to speak. And then it's like they were like, oh, Fall Guy, it's based on this IP, but the IP was so old and so niche that it may as well have not been based on one. Like, I had no idea.
And it wasn't exactly a cult following IP, like we talked about.
Well, in the article it said, actor talks to Prince William, an actor who was in, I'm not going to say because I'm now not going to get into this thing, but an actor was chatting with Prince William in quite a public space, and he went, oh, you were a brilliant bad guy in the Fall Guy. And this person says, yeah, you're not meant to know that. That's meant to be a spoiler. Your Honor, Your Highness. And he went, oh, sorry. And then the article had written telling you that person was a bad guy in the Fall Guy.
Right,
you're like, hang on.
That's ridiculous.
You know what I mean?
Like, there's just no... Yeah, there's no care anymore. Like, I used to work with a guy who was so anti-spoiler that even if you made something up and suggested that to him, it would turn him ragingly angry and ruin his day. And he would proper, and bear in mind, this is when you could have a go at your colleagues at work. You can't do that anymore. But he would literally, we used to work in a workshop, like repairing laptops. So it was like, don't ever do that to me again. Don't ever. I was like, whoa, okay, right, sorry, mate, calm down. But I was like, I don't want that experience again, so I won't do it. But he was so anti-spoiler with that sort of thing. Whereas now it's just like, I'm flicking through TikTok and it's like, can't you believe, like, spoiler at the front of it, then explaining the spoiler that you've just witnessed.
I'm glad I don't use TikTok.
Well, I'm saying TikTok. I mean YouTube Shorts or
I think if you're scrolling through Shorts, it's pretty difficult.
If a movie I know has got, you'll get that thing where people will go, this has got a big twist in it, or there's going to be something quite monumental in this. I just stay away until such point in time.
But you've got to stay away from everything. So like the Acolyte, I know someone, spoiler alert, I know somebody, in fact I've seen the scene where somebody's fighting and then gets triple stabbed, and then next minute, neck snap.
Oh,
you can now resume, moment. The spoilers are over.
Such a moment as well, you're like...
Because that...
And that's good, it. That looked to me like, oh my God, that must have been such a moment.
Yeah.
It is,
that I would like the build up to it before I
suppose you're just going, oh, there's the two that are going to get that onto them.
Yeah, because they had like, so I'm going to have to go through this and be like, Acolyte spoilers. Because if you think of it from a Star Trek perspective, and this will make sense, you have your red shirts.
Yeah, there is a bunch of red shirts.
And they die in spectacular fashion.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, it's just the A-team left now. Let's see. Oh, loads of them are dead.
Yeah.
And it was quite shocking, and
it's like going,
well done for doing that.
It's like going. You've had your red shirts, and then suddenly you've just seen Bones and Spock get killed.
That's it.
Yes.
That's why things like Game of Thrones and Lost back in the day were so good, because it was like everybody's expendable.
And Walking Dead
until they started doing, oh no, we could never kill Carol, and it's like, well, okay, now you're listing people you're not going to kill. I know they're not expecting, and it just sort of it teetered off a bit.
That's it. I mean, Calgar shouldn't have crossed the Rubicon Primaris. He should have died.
Exactly. Maybe now we know he's there to stay. Because they've got to keep selling
what I love
models.
is the fact that I love the fact that go.
I keep trying to bring it back.
Shock horror. Talk about Warhammer for a moment. That and I know people must be going, God, he's talking about that bloody book again. It's like the only Games Workshop book I've ever read.
Is it? Wait, hang on. Is it Gaunt's Ghost?
No. There's one I wanged on about for months was Spears of the Emperor.
Yeah.
But they have a disfigured guy in a robe that all the Marines still very much take as their commander. And he's like a captain, but he's all disfigured and almost like hunchbacked and all the rest of it, and he's failed the Rubicon.
Right, okay.
But it hasn't killed him.
Right. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And he survived it, but he's now, he can be tactically, he's good, but he can't wear the armor and do the job anymore.
Okay.
And but I love the fact that in Toy Soldier World, all the heroes go through and they're all right, aren't they?
They're all
it's dangerous, you might not survive, Unless you've had a model since 3rd edition, then you
There
will.
you go.
yeah.
Well, I think if they do it well, it could be almost the
Yeah.
new red shirt.
It is
It's
sad
fine.
when-
It doesn't need that. I don't think in
'Cause,
Warhammer.
yeah.
I think it's sad when I think it's good and sad when you get great models that they do in the story go, he died, because one of my
Yeah.
It's like
a miniature
Yarrick.
I love that I never owned because I've never played Blood Angels, but was was Captain Tycho.
Oh yeah.
He's got he's almost wearing like a Phantom of the Opera mask. He's got a mask on one side and he wears gold, and it's all that armor that's done to look like Roman army, where it's done look like the muscle, look like they're wearing muscle, which is a very Blood Angel thing. And he's got a really cool combi melter, and he had this pose where he stood like this, and it was a great on that thing as well. Where they do the toes.
Oh yeah,
on them
like
as well. It's
the
very Blood
toed
Angel,
sandals.
yeah.
Yeah.
And he was a great model, and they in one of the battles he went Tycho. Tycho got killed, and that was it.
Do you think that came through? It's like, right, we're moving to Primaris scale. Okay, brilliant. So we need to list all the characters, and then everyone stood there like, I'm not sculpting them fucking toes again.
Yeah.
No, 'cause
Because
they're
Tycho
gonna-
went ages ago. I think he
did
died.
he?
I think he was dead by 4th edition.
Oh, right,
okay.
crikey.
Yeah.
Do you think they were worried about copyright with the mask?
What against Phantom of the
Phantom
Opera?
of the Opera, yeah.
Only as
No, I don't think they're worried about the mask. It's the fact that he also came with a large organ was the problem. I think that might have said it.
I think a lot of Space Marines probably come with large organs, yeah.
Right.
But no, I mean only as much as the chaplain from Indomitus, Mortal Kombat could sue them because that's Kano, 100%. The guy with the half facing embedded mask thing.
Yeah.
So there you go. But yeah, oh well.
I'm looking. I'm really. Oh, that was it. We talked about the Space Marine bits from Darktide and stuff,
Yeah.
and we're like, oh, the Blood Angels are coming out soon. Oh, I wonder if they'll be doing Blood Angel bits.
Have they just
They've
done them?
announced them. Yeah, someone tagged me. They were like, "Lol, you predicted this on the podcast."
Right, can we
so-
predict Space Wars? Oh, they've done Space Wars.
Do you know what
haven't
I'd like them to predict? Can they predict? Because I'm desperately chomping at the bit to go and buy some pieces from Archie's Forge. Can they blum and get around to releasing some Assault Terminators for the love of God?
they? Yeah.
Because I glued all my Terminators together, and I'm like, hey, they're great. And then I actually done something that's very rare. I painted a squad to them, all done, hey. And then Archie's Forge went, here's all these ones with Black Templar bits.
Yeah.
And then I was like,
They look brilliant.
Oh, and they look great. And I'm like, oh, I'm not having. I've got 10 Terminators. I thought I'm not having 15 Terminators just for the sake of having some in Black Templar gear. And then I thought, oh, hang on a minute, I'll just festoon
Yeah.
the Terminator Assault, the variants when they come out. But it's like, you'd have thought they'd have done them by now, wouldn't you?
See, I love that. That's my favourite thing about 3D printing and Warhammer because, when you get the models, I think a few places started doing this. So there's a guy called The Custom Bit, and he only ever did it once, and I love my samurai things. But when Indomitus came out, he pretty much made samurai stuff for those models.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But specifically for them. I was like, that's good, but then never continued it with the following releases. And I'm like, he could have stayed on top of that
Yeah.
and basically had himself a cash cow of every time they release something, I'll buy a set and I'll make something that Games Workshop will never make as an optional add-on, which both encourages people to buy the original models and get the add-ons. Woo, everyone wins. But he didn't continue it. But I saw someone the other day because I use the Archie's Forge bits to do a comparison, which I showed you. And I think when you put full-on 3D printed all over a Terminator, it's too much.
Yeah,
Yes, it is,
definitely too much. Yeah.
But someone was just like, just helmet, just shin guards.
yeah.
That's it. No crazy shoulders. Left everything up brilliant. And I wish I could remember who that artist
Well,
was.
see,
on
that's what I
Instagram.
was thinking, because I thought when it comes to Assault Terminators, I'll probably have 10. And Archie's Forge Terminator kit is designed to be spread across 5.
Okay,
And I
so
go,
you
what
get
I'll
two
do is I'll
kits.
spread it across
Yeah.
10.
Yeah.
So some will get
right,
a torso.
okay, yeah.
Someone will get a torso
Yeah.
with the Aquila, but with the cross in the middle, and some
Yeah.
will get this, and one will get a glaive that's done with loads of stuff on it, and the other one will be blank.
But you only need to buy it once.
But you need
That's,
to buy it,
that's you don't need to buy I've got 10 Terminators, I'll buy 5 kits of upgrade bits.
Well, yeah, because the kit,
4 kits of upgrade bits.
because the kit is designed to splash across five Terminators, and they go, I'll actually splash that across 10.
Yeah.
You know,
Buy the kit once, print it 10 times, because like you showed, it got all those bits, and you were
Can
like,
you print
I think it'll
Archie's
cost me a
Forge, or-
phone.
No,
you can't.
Archie's Forge is
Oh, is it
specifically
not?
resin bits.
No, it's only, yeah.
Yeah.
Archie's Forge
So
control.
they don't sell STLs.
I'm thinking Grey Tide, aren't I?
Yeah.
Archie's
Yeah.
Forge, yeah.
I feel like he might have sent me something. No, he did. He sent me some helmets because I wanted a proper bucket helm for my 30k Dark Angels, make them proper night-like, and he sent me some of them, and I'm like, oh, they're really good. Got them in my video, so that's what mattered.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah.
I do like him, but yeah.
I don't know if his name's
So
actually
you do
Archie,
need to
but
buy-
if it is Archie, he's lovely.
So you do need to buy the kit twice in that case. But yeah, when you can print it yourself, it's just,
Well, yeah, say I'm not going to. I'm going to
and
buy
his
it
resin's
once.
good as well.
Yeah, it
like
is
he
good.
does his own mix.
Oh, really?
Which is and it's really good. Really,
and to be
really
fair
nice.
to him now as well, I spotted the other day that Archie's Forge have now started to do their own YouTube channel of showing you how to put stuff on, because some of the stuff you have to cut things to bits. Like if he's done the armor for Redemptor Dreadnought, no, for a Ballistus Dreadnought, and he actually does a video which of him hacking it to pieces with a hobby knife.
Oh right, crikey,
These go on.
Because the Dreadnought that I did, I just put it over the top.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know
See,
if
that
that was
one
right or
I
wrong.
think that is designed to do that.
Go over the top.
Yeah.
But the one for the Ballistus isn't. It's actually really nice. The one for the Ballistus is half a Templar cross on both sides.
Oh, sweet.
And then it's got a new chest piece, the bit for the centre as well. So it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
He does lovely stuff, does Archie.
See, I did it wrong. Like those samurai bits I was on about when I did mine, they were the same size as the shoulder pads.
Yeah.
But instead of cutting the shoulder pads off and putting these on, I just put them in some boiling hot water, pressed them against the shoulder pad so it conformed to the shape, and stuck them over. And the guy who created them messaged me and went, "You're not meant to do that. Meant to do that." I went, "No, I prefer it this way," because it just made them look more hench. And if you think like samurai is like plates of armor on top of armor, this was like armor on top of and it just, I think it looked great and I loved it. So the variety, what you can do with them is fantastic. But that brought me full circle. Like you say, they're doing videos. That's the thing that I love about the Grimdark's Villainy Inks is it's a new business model that more hobby stores should do, which is we're going to release a new hobby product. Oh, cool. So like, here's Streaking Grime. Here's this. Here's these new things. But where Grimdark have got it is not, you're paying more for the bottles, but they're going to show you how to use them, and you actually get that thing. And it's why Games Workshop, like Citadel paints, are the most one of the most expensive. But when you buy Citadel paints, you have hundreds of thousands of hours worth of free tutorials.
Yeah.
Because everyone else uses them.
Everyone else has used them.
That is worth more than the extra you're paying for the paints.
Which is what I've said in the past. That's one of the reasons I still use Games Workshop paints a lot, is because YouTube has got an abundance of people out there painting them.
Yeah.
And they are all basically, Games Workshop paints are now like an established language.
They are, yeah.
Like a language. And you go, and they can't be that bad if Blum Richie Gray still spends most of his time painting with them.
Yeah. And like I don't use Citadel paints as much as I used to. Like I use a lot of AK, as I'm sure you guys all know. But my brain thinks in Citadel paints.
And then you translate.
I'm like, what's Mephiston red? Oh, it's like brick red. Or dirty red. Burn orange, is that like Wild Rider red? And all that kind of stuff.
I'm like that as well, because I'm now really, because they are lovely people, and they've given, between them and Byron, have given us a lot of them, is Monument, the Pro Ac rolls. I'm using a lot of Pro Ac rolls.
The coverage is insane.
Yeah, it's really good.
And then when you thin them out, the ones that prior to Proacryl and similar in a lot of ways, are a paint that very few people have heard of, is the Reaper paints.
Oh yeah, I know Reaper paints.
And everyone's like, oh yeah, I know them, I've heard of them. No one's using them. Yeah. But I reviewed these nearly a decade ago now. And I went out there and I'm like, these are some of the best paints out there, because they're super thin, the coverage is crazy. And before Monument came out with their, like, oh my god, look at this yellow, oh my god, look at this white, the Reapers did the same.
Yeah.
So everyone's going, oh, Monument does this, but Reaper already did that for years. And I'm like, why aren't people using Reaper? Even Squidmar, I don't know if you saw it, he did we tested all these
I
bits,
watched that.
and Reaper was the result. No one's buying Reaper, and I don't get why.
You're the one that
amazing.
They're not. I don't. So I've heard the name, but I'm unfamiliar with the brand. If you go into a Games Workshop, it's only Citadel paints. I don't think I've seen them walking into like Element
Nope.
Games.
No.
Do you know the
So
one
is their distribution just not very good?
The distribution is round the corner from us.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So weirdly, when I got mine, I got them sent to work when I was there. So they sent me a box to do the review. I opened it up. The biggest Spider I've ever seen was inside the box. So I don't know if that was marketing, like Reaper Paints, we're going to kill you. But I just opened it up, and literally on the underside of the flap that I folded towards me
grim.
was this thing. And my brain went, well, that's not funny, assuming it was like something that stuck on the inside.
like a toy
then the
spider.
bastard moved. And I'm talking, it was this big. Like, no, it was
Definitely.
probably, it had a decent leg span on it.
Yeah.
It was one of them.
Yeah.
I do not like spiders. Like, I'm not terrified of them, but you know when they're there when you don't expect them, I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it did. It fucked off.
The other one that's good, I've got one single pot of it because it was just a colour I hadn't seen anything quite like it at the time, was like a real lovely mix between green and brown that just had like, felt like the real right colour for like tree bark. And that was P3.
Oh, yeah.
Another paint brand you don't see a lot.
Yeah.
P3 used to work quite closely with them. They were like the official paint of War Machine.
Yes. Need to talk to you about War Machine after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do it after the show.
Cool.
It's
Yeah.
not for you guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not yet, it's not. But yeah, P3
But
was
yeah,
great.
that was, I like them, yeah. And they had some interesting colours. The red, I don't know why, but I went on a David Soper course, and Dave Soper was really fond of that red because it had a more matte texture than a soft sheen, and it's what we wanted to get to. So, and the metallics were nice
There's
too.
something called something like thorn green or something. This P3 was, but it's just a really great, real good tree bark colour.
Yeah.
Just real right in the middle.
There was another one as well. Who was the one who had the? I say had the, or through quote unquote, they had the original Games Workshop recipes and took them over, and I forgot who they were.
Oh God, who was that? Yeah, who took,
Someone
I
will be
wrote about
screaming it
them.
at the screen. Yeah.
yeah.
I know who you mean.
It's same
but-
pots, same bottles, not Formula P3. Cote d'Arms.
Cote d'Arms, indeed, yeah.
Cote d'Arms. It's from Mansfield. It's D-arms, so it's Cote d'Arms.
Cote
But yeah,
d'Arms, yeah.
Cote d'Arms. So in Cote d'Arms, I think they used to be called something else as a company, then became something else, and then released Cote d'Arms, which were the original Games Workshop recipes that they got rid of. And then I compared them, and I was like, yeah, kind of similar. But to be fair, back in the 90s, you could get differences between paint batches from Games Workshop. So I was
Yeah.
like, they're close enough. The Space Wolf looked like the Space Wolf Grey looked like the Space Wolf Grey that I'd got off eBay for like 12 quid for
Yeah.
half a bottle of. So I was like, yeah, they're close enough. So if you do want to paint with Warhammer paints that haven't been around for God knows how long, Cote d'Arms do them.
That's like a very niche market, isn't it?
Yeah,
It was like
it is now.
Warlock purple and things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. They've just changed them slightly, like instead of like bolt gun metal, was it back then?
Yeah,
Yeah.
on metal, yeah.
But
Yeah.
like blood red's blood red because you
Yeah.
can't really copyright blood red.
No.
But Fenrisian grey, or it wasn't Fenrisian grey, it was Space Wolves grey, is now
Yeah.
something else.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes sense. I feel like with like, I don't know, testing out a bit more stuff recently and doing a lot more painting, my tastes go for what works. Like, I feel like the usability and the ergonomics of something is just as important as the finished result.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, I get
Like,
that.
For how you want to paint, especially.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm 100% like that. I would rather get the paint that gives me the fastest decent result.
yeah.
Like if I can get a paint that takes 5 layers to cover but is incredibly thin, I don't mind a slightly thicker paint. In fact, I prefer a slightly thicker paint that's coats in 1 layer.
Yeah.
Because I want to get
and
it
that's
done.
Pro Acryl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm such a fan of the AK black.
I am now. You told me to use that.
Because
Yeah.
you can thin that down like a bastard and it
Yeah.
still covers in one coat.
Yeah.
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 I think it's
Black Rubber.
fantastic.
It's one of my
I was
favourite
such a fan
Yeah.
of, like, I religiously used to tell people, no, you paint your base rims with Vallejo 950 or whatever, 4070-950
Yeah.
black, always. And I hadn't got any, and you went, use this, see if it's any good. And I won't use another black now after using that AK. It is, once you go AK black,
You never go
it's
back.
your favourite
Yeah.
black paint. No. Oh, that's a good rhyme. You can think them up quite well. So, yeah. So what's a knob?
The orcs.
Yeah.
God, I
And
hope
what's
so.
a mega knob?
Knobs are like beefy orcs.
Right. So bigger orcs.
Oh well, because I don't know the specifics of the law, but
So you've got all these orcs and you don't even know what a knob is.
yeah.
Codex.
So I don't have. I, Patrick Taylor, don't have any knobs.
Right.
I do
None
have.
at all.
I do have a mega knob,
So you do have a knob.
but I've
got a
got
mega
mega knobs, but they're in like the orc version of Power Armor.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many times can we say knob before he has to?
We get demonetised.
We have to just declare.
I think
it
we should just end.
Is it?
I think we need all the help we can get at the moment. Not we don't need to nobble it. Hey! Right, and on that,
I've forgotten what nobble means, but it is a word, isn't it? We've had this
just
discussion
to
before.
make
Like
something to be destructive to something.
Yes.
Isn't
Yeah.
it when you take little bites of something?
That's nibble.
No, it's not. They are.
Hey!
Ah.
Oh, please, for the love of God,
Sorry.
end.
Let's go.
Switch it off.
If anyone's still watching, thank you very much. Thank you to all our
Oh,
patrons.
listening to our waffly nonsense.
Thank you,
are
everyone.
wonderful.
This has been a different week, hasn't it?
Yeah.
bit, yeah.
Try,
Just a
try a bit of a waffly one.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.